I told you, Max, about the time that the tech forum I went to and I asked a question for. Um, the mod, the person that responded was a fucking retard. So I went to the tech forum and I was like, "Yo, hey, I'm having this issue. I have tried to resolve it by doing this, and this. I've checked through the power cables. I've scanned the computer. These two programs return with 0 results. I've tested the power supply. I've tested this, and this on the motherboard. I've scanned the RAM, etc., etc. I listed a massive list of shit that I've already done, and I was looking for other suggestions because at this point I wasn't, I didn't know what to do anymore, right?
Yeah.
And the first response is, have you tried turning your computer off and on? Which is kind of stupid if you think about it, because about 9 of the things that I listed on the list of things that I've already checked required the computer to be turned off.
He must think you have some sort of like super prototype hot swap board or something.
It must be. But so anyway, I respond to this asshole who wasted my time with, yeah, thanks, buddy. I only did that about 13 times. If you check my list, I've listed several steps that I already did that. And a mod bans me immediately, saying he's just trying to be helpful. You don't have to be an asshole about it, but since you're such a prick, you can go figure out your issue on your own.
Okay, how did you say you already did it? That's the question.
I literally said, yes, dipshit, I already did this. I've listed it 13 times on this list. If you chose to read it.
I'm gonna be honest. On the internet, dipshit is pretty low on the aggression meter at this point.
I was very clean in my rebuttal. Very clean.
C8 is upset that there was no rank and file ping.
Well, someone rank and file ping for me then.
Is he even here? He's not here. He doesn't get to complain. He's not even sitting in chat.
Yeah, fuck you, C8. Fucking complaining.
Sitting over there complaining, but he hasn't even showed up.
Fuck you.
Place sucks so much.
That's life.
Ow.
Yeah, let's get into it, And then the internet here is fucked. Well, fuck you, C8. Also, Arn, if your character is not offline yet, I'm closing the server.
No, I quit a few minutes ago.
Okay.
It's fine.
Alright, server shutting down.
Oh, don't surprise if my mic randomly gets shitty, because I should turn the server mute off.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be rendering out some videos.
Okay.
As things go.
Anyway, hello, internet. This is Fanfiction, Contempt Theater 9004, episode 15, with your host SneakyDevil. We are now going 5 years running. How does that make you feel?
Old as fuck.
Yeah, kind of, actually.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, there are children younger than how long I've been running this podcast.
I mean...
Yeah, well, technically that was true from the moment we reached episode 2, but okay.
Yeah, no, but like children, not like toddlers or babies, Like, I'm talking like literal fucking children. Like, kids that are entering the schooling system are younger than this podcast.
Yeah.
Kids that were born after this podcast has started are now going to school.
Actually, yeah, they would have started kindergarten.
Yep.
Yeah.
School year.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
What have I come back to?
Kids that were born after this podcast has started are now going to school.
Yes, they are.
I do not, like fucking 10 years down the line, it's going to be like kids born after this podcast started are now graduating high school.
Yeah. It will be.
At some point, yeah.
Again, the most terrifying thing I learned recently was that Lego Racers, a game from my childhood, had an N64 and Windows PC release, and I was like, yep, that's it. I'm old.
Windows 95, dude.
You're ancient.
Oh, Windows 95.
Windows 95.
I like that the people younger than me are bitching about being older. I'm just sitting here like, what the fuck are you on about? If that's enough to make you feel old, oh man, wait till you reach the age of 26.
Okay,
You'll
look, dude,
never
I'm
be-
already having fond memories of the Sega Genesis.
You Max, you understand? You do understand? I'm 27, right?
You're like, are you really 27? You're like a grade under me.
His sense of time.
They must have been
Gone.
held back.
Fuck.
No, I was
mean-
born in 94.
Damn.
Did you just have a birthday?
My birthday's September 5th.
So you'll be 26, you dipshit.
It's
Do math.
2021.
Yeah, and you haven't had your birthday yet.
Yeah,
this
and
year.
you haven't had your
fucking
birthday
moron.
yet, you fucking insipid moron. Holy
No,
shit,
I
where'd
have.
you learn
I'm
how
just
to
lying
count?
to make
the
myself
Gurra
feel
School
better.
of Math?
I mean, if I said yes, is that better or worse than the American school system?
Honestly, it's kind of 50-50.
Yeah.
Not helping yourself at all. unless
She's in
you're
Alaska.
younger.
Was she educated in the American school system?
I mean, you know...
Oh, good. Sneaky, I found a folder that I named Sneaky TV. That means we had plans for it, but it never went anywhere.
What was sneaky?
Sneaky TV, I remember that, yeah.
Wait,
It's,
hold
it's
on.
just an empty folder, though, because we didn't do anything with
When
it.
was that folder made?
Hang on.
Hold on, I gotta ask. Was
Oh,
Sneaky
no.
TV gonna just be like a live
no.
stream of Sneaky's life?
Sneaky, August 11th, 2016.
Yep.
What were we planning?
Sneaky TV, I believe that was me giving, Sargon-like videos and you were gonna edit them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was gonna try and help you with that. And
Oh, I can
try
see why
and
that never went anywhere.
Try and
No,
curb-
it didn't go anywhere, because that's, August of 2016 was,
That was a hotbed for something.
yeah, no, there was a lot of shit was going on during that time. I got my degree, Max moved to a new job, the election was happening,
A lot of
yeah,
lot
I
of-
was, yeah, a lot of shit was going on.
Oh, hey!
Hmm?
I'm surprised I still have this.
Hmm?
Yeah, I found a bunch of raws for when we did the Attack on Titan game. Oh, wait, nope. All right, that footage is gone to forever.
Oh,
Did you just delete it?
No, it's just an empty folder. That means the footage is gone. I don't know where.
So
but
you
I
just
do-
have
I
an
do
empty
I
folder.
do have some Far Cry 4 footage.
I'll do you know.
I'm wondering if it's corrupted now.
Clearly, we need to do a bullshittery route because we can't
Oh,
manage
no.
anything else. We have to go
I was just
bullshittery.
saying,
Yeah.
look, it can't possibly be more corrupted than mine and Sneaky's aborted attempt to record Dark Souls 3.
All right, so Atin, good news, bad news. What's the bad news? I have been recording this whole time. Is that not the good news? No,
Okay.
I've been
OBS,
recording
I'm-
at 8 FPS the whole time. Also, the video didn't take. What do you mean the video didn't take? It's just a black screen.
And then we look into it, and he was unfortunately recording to the hard drive he was playing off of.
The important part here is it was in fact a hard drive I was playing and recording off of, not a solid
Yes,
state.
an actual physical hard
Yeah, it was
drive.
an actual literal hard drive, and I was just like,
Okay. But we never
bruh.
did this one, did we?
But anyway, you know what we're gonna do
That's where the
tonight?
Dying Light footage went.
Oh, where'd the Dying Light footage go?
It's the folder called Space Hulk. Does that make
Nice.
sense?
You know what? We're gonna do a Harry Potter fanfic. We're gonna start off the Harry Potter fanfic tonight.
Wait, hold on, Sneaky.
Yeah, I'm holding on. I'm ready.
I feel that we
Bracing.
need to go ahead and inform people of why they're bad at Dota 2 with data provided by Japan. I feel that's more important.
Oh no.
I'm
Wait,
actually worried now.
What?
Oh, Nose posted it.
Oh no.
I know Nose posted it, and that makes me worry.
All right.
It's
let's
no.
look at
I'm
this.
looking at it. It's actual data.
Oh, okay.
Using eye tracking devices.
Okay, let's see here.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm a student at Dota 2 University, blah, blah, blah. blah, blah, blah. Last year, I wrote my graduation thesis based on experiments I've done with blah, 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 immortal bracket players, blah, 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 blah. Differences in in-game decision-making abilities of immortal bracket players, aka the top tier, Archon and Legend, aka the pros, and yeah, okay, heat map of immortal players, heat map of Legend players. Let's see here.
Oh, I need to see
Interesting.
these heat maps. What?
Okay.
Oh,
All right. Interesting.
yeah. Okay.
So the
That makes
pro
sense.
players are checking spots where they're going to get ganked from, while the the top tier players check spots that they're going to get ganked from most commonly. So behind, in the forest, from the right, and from the river, while the pro players typically don't. And it can be assumed.
They remain solely
Sneaky,
focused on their matchup.
Yeah.
Sneaky, it's not even that. Look at what the heat maps are. It's also they're checking item bars, minimap, and like all that.
Oh yeah, cooldowns,
content.
health,
Yeah.
HP. Yeah, I know.
You know what this heat map looks like to me? This looks like the difference between most pro players in fighting games as well versus people who are still new.
Mm-hmm.
Because you either have the people who are insane who just know what their meter is at any given time, and the ones who you see quick flicks of eye movement go into the whatever corner of the screen their meter zone.
Mm-hmm. The differences of decision-making abilities of the Immortal bracket players and Archon bracket players using in-game screenshots. For the example, I want to control the simulation. I used a completely different method. I used screenshots of creep waves crashing and asked the subjects which way the wave was going to push. I tracked eye movements, time taken to answer, and the correct rate. Okay, so basically what he did is he took a bunch of NPCs that spawn every wave, and he asked people by the just looking at a still image of the two NPC waves hitting each other, he asked them which way the wave was going to push. And this is actually really important because it's the difference between, do I need to backtrack and help something, or can I let that go and let that push a bit? And
Not just that, but also, do I need to focus more on, right, is my lane pushing towards the enemy tower, which puts me into a fundamentally unsafe position?
Interesting. So the difference between the top tier and the Archon. So this is interesting as well. He's using Archon as well in this. So it goes top tier, which is immortals, and then it goes pro players, which are legends, and then it goes your average grunt. So round Ricky's level, quote unquote. The average grunt first checks. Let's see here. He first checks the immediate wave that is hitting each other. He then checks his own wave.
That's the deny check, I bet.
Yeah, the deny. No,
Yeah.
deny check. So the first thing he looks at is the wave itself, where they're hitting each other. Then he checks for denies. Then he checks his own range. Then he checks himself. Then he checks their hero. It looks like, yeah. He checks their hero and then their range. So, which is a massive difference because what the pro player does is he looks immediately at the wave. Then he
Well, I
looks
was going to say, there's
immediately
actually a
at the
lot of
knives.
overlap for the first two eye movements.
Yeah. He looks immediately at the wave and then immediately just moves up and down and then directly towards the hero. He doesn't check his own stuff at all because he's already been checking all of that during downtime moments. So he's already been counting down all that shit. So he doesn't need to check himself. This is actually really interesting stuff that can actually be compared to a lot of other things. Like writing. Someone who keeps internally consistent doesn't need to check their work to make sure they're internally consistent. Because as long as they're making sure they're internally consistent as they're writing, they don't need to keep going back and going, am I internally consistent yet? Oh, look how I turned that all fucking around.
Beautiful segue.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And speaking of internal consistency, that's not what we're going to be covering today. We're going to be covering a very interesting fic that I'm sure Rance is going to absolutely adore.
Assuming he ever speaks up, he's got himself.
Yeah, he's got himself muted.
Yeah. That's the name.
So yeah, Rance, if you are
Sorry,
available-
I'm busy drawing vampire mommy for somebody.
no problem.
I'm
Man.
just listening in.
Base.
How much are you going to make on that one?
I'm not making anything. I'm just
Oh,
trying to show off how much I've grown. I'm still months away from being able to make any kind of money.
That-
I'll show a
that's fair
picture
enough.
of what I've got so far, though.
Cool.
Hang
God
on.
bless.
By the way, I want to point out, I am vindicated because even the guys who made the vampire mom are like, what is wrong with you people?
I agree. I don't think
Well-
her skin color, especially her skin tone, it's oops, that is a terrible picture. That was blurry as hell.
Like, I'm just like,
Yeah.
why is everybody like, yes, she's large? I'm like, okay, great.
You don't understand that, and you will never understand.
I
No,
don't
and
understand.
I'm
Look,
quite grateful.
And I am right in the same boat with you. I was playing WoW, and then the new WoW expansion, there's a bunch of giant fucking women. I'm talking like giant women, just large women who are about like 7 times your height. And I don't get it either. But everyone's just like, man,
It's about
those large women.
2.5 to be specific.
Yeah.
So I
they
took a
say.
picture within the Discord app and was immediately disconnected. I'm halfway through. Here's the
Amazing.
halfway finished drawing.
Neat.
So yeah, Rance is gonna love this story. It's a Harry
No better
Potter and the
anything me
Master's
or
Ball.
Nicky can do.
Oh, fuck.
So this is
You know,
not
The Master's
um,
Ball.
Yeah, it's not a sex story. What you might be led to believe.
Is it a
Um,
Pokemon crossover?
Yes, it
I
is.
don't
Yeah.
believe you.
Yeah,
Look,
it's a Pokemon
I've been on this
crossover.
website.
No.
I don't believe you.
Atin, I've read it.
It's garbage.
It's garbage. It's not a sex story, but it's garbage. And there's a fucking lot of it too.
Yeah, there's
think
now
he's-
currently
I think-
he's on year 6, I believe.
Year 60s. Last I checked, he was number 4.
Yeah, no, he's updated quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I did stop reading it like 3 years ago. So
Pog. Yeah, no, unfortunately, he's still updating. Which is kind of
Yeah.
impressive.
I'm sure you
because-
guys are happy about that.
Well, whatever. But anyway, so this is Harry Potter and the Master's Ball. What immediately I was recommended this story by Zeke's app, and I immediately did not read it. And you might be like, "Oh, why'd you not read it?" Well, unlike other stories, like for example, Elemental Trinity. Elemental Trinity is a Pokemon Harry Potter fusion world. However, Pokemon Harry Potter Fusion World, in which Pokemon was the far, 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 far distant past, so distant of a past that it's older than known recorded history for humanity. We're talking such a distant past that where Harry found the box containing the Pokemon balls inside the time capsule was actually, it used to be the highest mountain in the Pokemon world, and he actually found it like deep underground. So a very long time ago.
Oh,
That's fun. Is it the GS ball with Celebi in it?
No.
Okay, that would have made sense.
No, it was the 3 starters from Kanto. Hence the name
kinda boring.
Elemental Trinity. And the reason why these 3 Pokeballs were in there and why Pokedex was in there was because it was one of the last remaining attempts by the Pokemon universe to preserve some of their technology and history as the apocalypse was happening and was killing everyone.
And which version of the apocalypse happened in the Pokemon universe? Because there were several that
It
could
was
have
the
happened.
game. It was the manga version.
I never read the manga.
okay, so it
yeah.
wasn't related to Unova.
No, it wasn't related to any of the.
It wasn't
animes or
Kyogre and
games.
Groudon having their dick measuring contest.
I believe it involved Arceus.
Oh right, God.
Yeah. God, who was a deer.
Which Pokemon did it? God.
Yeah.
So who
God
calls
is
the
a-
apocalypse? God.
But anyway, so yeah, that happened and everyone died, and the reasoning as to why there are wizards and why there are magical animals that are smarter than normal animals.
Wait,
is
stop.
because-
Stop.
Mm,
Stop.
yeah, mm,
Did humans and Pokemon fuck?
no.
Okay, I thought you were going to go with that wizards are descended from half human, half Pokemon.
No, wizards. No, because wizards are descendant from normal humans from the Pokemon verse, but the Pokemon verse humans are not normal humans by our standards. So, but anyway, so wizards and Pokemon are both a result of the remnants of whatever survived the apocalypse. Slowly losing its powerful traits over time due to resource scarcity. as we know that's all an actual thing. So like the author actually does a decent job of explaining as to why the fusion exists. The author does not do that in this story.
Oh, what a shame.
Of course not.
What a rotten way to go.
So, what was that one that was actually decent? Trinity.
Elemental Trinity.
Elemental Trinity.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the author does use Daphne Greengrass as a character. But you know,
Sad life, indeed.
if you're okay with Daphne Greengrass being an actual character and like not some fandom trope of garbage, then you should be fine with the story.
That happens a lot, I
What-
take it.
Do people prefer her as fandom trash?
Yes, people typically prefer Daphne Greengrass to appropriate the Japanese tsundere archetype, where at
More of
first,
not tsundere, more himedere.
yeah,
Yeah.
where at first she's like pretty much an asshole and kind of a bitch and really cold to Harry, and then in like the span of 1 to 2 chapters, she suddenly wants his dick so deep inside her that she becomes a puppet.
Yeah.
And that's typically how most people in the fandom write Daphne. Because there isn't anything to write about Daphne, because she's got like all of 3 lines in the books.
I don't think she has any lines in the book.
She has 0 lines, is mentioned once.
I'm pretty sure she had like 1 line.
Nope.
Nope.
Not a single line.
Was it the movies then?
Oh yeah, she talked in the movies.
Okay, that's
Did
what
she?
it was.
Ah.
Yeah, it was
Or
during
it
the
might be
Potter
thinking
Stinks,
of-
when she had the Potter Stinks badge.
No, that wasn't her.
Yeah, no, she
Hufflepuff.
showed up on screen like 2 or 3 times.
No, she
But
didn't
I
talk in
don't-
the
I
movies
don't-
either. Pansy did.
No, she-
I'm thinking
Oh,
of
Pansy,
Pansy.
right,
yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
anyway, Daphne Greengrass basically doesn't exist as a character. I will give the fandom credit where credit is due, I suppose. What little credit is due, I suppose. At least they are using characters that never got a chance to actually have lines in the series that already exist in the series instead of random OC number 7 that just randomly exists in Slytherin and suddenly wants Harry's dick. You know, at least they're using a character that already exists.
Well, you know. Well,
In a certain
exists is a
sense.
very loose term.
Okay, look, character that exists is a very loose term that applies to 99% of all J.K. Rowling characters.
Well, yes. True.
So
But
anyway,
still, like, I think
what
they're
made me hate this Pokemon story that is currently on your screen right now? What made me hate it so much is you're going to find out in this summary. Harry Potter and the Master's Ball. Welcome to the Avalon region. Here, potential Pokemon trainers go to Hogwarts,
Cease.
the premier school for inspiring future Pokemon trainers, where they learn how to train Pokemon. This year promises to be special for Harry Potter, the Destroyer of Voldemort. Yep, because that still exists.
Yep.
In a Pokemon fusion world.
Yeah, well,
where
alright,
magic
it-
doesn't
it-
happen and Pokemon do.
Be a distinction. It's just Harry Potter characters, locations, but with Pokemon on top and a magic removed. So it's effectively like Harry Potter in name only.
Yeah, I'm aware, but my issue
Yeah.
here is
I'm
that...
just saying it for everyone else who aren't
yeah,
aware.
I know,
you
but that's what I was going to explain. So my issue here is if this magic is removed and everything's been replaced by Pokemon, then there wouldn't be any special magic that would magically reflect a death beam, because A, there wouldn't be magic to reflect,
Yeah.
and B, there wouldn't be a death beam by Voldemort, it'd be by one of Voldemort's Pokemon. So if an attack
Yeah.
was being reflected from something, it would be reflected at Voldemort's Pokemon. So unless he's like, Pokemon, cast magical nuke, and then that somehow gets reflected.
Yeah. Well,
know.
I mean, alright, so bear with me here. It's been a few years since I last read this.
Yeah.
Like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
But if I remember correctly, it wasn't actually Harry who destroyed Voldemort. It was one of Lily's Pokemon, I think.
But that's my point, though, is
Yeah.
that would change things. There is no... Unless,
Yeah,
like,
it
all of
does
Lily's
change things.
Pokemon...
Actually.
Yeah, I know.
It does.
I would say it would in fact make Pikachu the destroyer of Voldemort.
But anyway, my point being is that
yeah.
instead of Harry being known as the destroyer of Voldemort, it would be Lily's Pokemon being known as the destroyer of Voldemort. Like, he wouldn't
Yeah, if the
have the
author wasn't
boy who
lying
lived
out of its fucking
moniker,
ass.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, like there's I don't know if you just typed something different in the summary compared to what happens in the story, or if I'm remembering wrong, but it's not a plot point in the actual story that Harry.
Okay, well, he made
what
it
the
a
one
plot
did.
point. He made it a plot point in summary.
I mean, if you can call that a plot point.
It is. No, that's literally, he's literally granting a title to Harry, the Destroyer of Voldemort, in the summary.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
You know, it just it makes no fucking sense at all. This is the sort of shit I was talking about last night with Solar in the fanfiction section, where the authors just randomly inject these changes into the story that just completely invalidate their premise.
Well, you know, they would be fanfiction authors if their shit actually made sense.
Well, that's not true. I've read plenty of fanfiction stories where the premise made sense.
Sure.
I have.
Have I missed anything too horrible?
The author's an absolute shitheel and proceeded to say that Harry destroyed Voldemort, even though Harry didn't destroy Voldemort because there is no magic to destroy Voldemort with, and there's no magic for Voldemort to cast to be destroyed with.
Yeah.
But he's still the destroyer of Voldemort because that's what he's called in Harry Potter. And the author is too, unoriginal to actually think about what that would, mean in a story that isn't about Harry Potter, the magical wizard kid.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I've been a little bit confused here. I've been thinking along the
Yeah.
terms of the other story you were telling me about.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, wait, how are there Pokemon if Harry discovers them
Yeah, no.
in a box? I'm like,
no.
oh, right, that's the other one.
That's the good
Yeah.
one. The one where the
That's the
author
good one.
actually thought about things. Yeah.
Imagine that.
This
Thinking.
is not that story. The author did not think about things in this story. Rather tellingly, there's 1,500 favorites for this story, which it really depresses me. It definitely gives me clinical depression.
How many words is it?
90K, but it's only for book 1. There is 5 other
Yeah.
books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes me feel better. Is coming to take his place among future trainers and begin his Pokemon journey. Book 1 in the Harry Potter Pokemon Master Series. So, this is the sort of story that can either be amazing or garbage. Like, for example, I forget which author it was, but he was like, give me 2 really stupid ideas and I'll make a good story out of it. And
I can do that.
The author he was talking to said, okay, Pokemon and the Roman Legion. And we got, what was that book series called, Atin?
Codilleria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Codex Alaria.
Codex Alaria. Yeah, we got a really good series out of that.
Even if
Is it an actual book series or FF?
Yes, it's an actual book
No,
series.
it was written by Jim Butcher, the guy who writes the Dresden Files.
Yeah. No, it's an actual original series. It has nothing to do with Pokemon or the Roman Legion, but that's because the author, Jim Butcher, said, oh yes, Pokemon and the Roman Legion. I can write an original idea about this that requires me to have neither Pokemon nor the Roman Legion be mashed together, but still retain the same concept.
Because he took, basically he recreates the Roman Empire, right? And it
Seems like a good idea.
Called
Could use another one of
Alaria.
those.
Base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Another one.
He recreates, pretty good job. Recreates the Roman Empire, right?
Mhm.
And then instead of service being what gets you citizenship, being able to control a powerful nature spirit and serving in the Legion gets you citizenship.
Yeah.
That
And
also seems like a great idea we should bring out.
Yes.
yes. But so right now you see, okay, so he recreated the Roman Empire, but everyone has the equivalent of a Pokemon at birth.
Mhm.
Some people
At
get really
birth,
strong
That's
Pokemon.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
Some people get really crappy Pokemon, but everybody's got a Pokemon. And because everybody's got this Pokemon, their armies can do things that other armies can't. Like, oh, ask your Pokemon to help you use this road that we specially crafted to let people march for days at a time and barely get tired. Or
Mhm.
better yet, if you've got a horse and you're strong enough, get it to do it for your horse, and you can ride the entirety of the kingdom without your horse keeling over dead.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it's because
I
Jim
will say the
Butcher-
only problem with the book, so if you guys have read the Dresden File, you know that Harry Dresden is constantly taking cold showers because he refuses to tap that.
Fair enough.
Boy, do cold showers not exist in this universe in either the literal or metaphorical sense.
Ah. So
It
this is
kind of
where he-
reminds me of this book I once read that was an alternate history where dinosaurs still existed in the United States when the white man came. And George Washington wrote a fucking the one with the trumpet on top of its
I'm
head. I
already
forgot what they're
liking
called.
this.
It was pretty dope.
Yeah, I'm already liking this. But anyway,
I was
this
gonna
is sort
say-
of my point, though. I like to use that as actually a really good point, though, because it's something I comment on a lot, where there comes a point when you're doing a crossover story. Even fusion worlds can overlap, you know, without necessarily making it a whole new story. Like, for example, Ranma and Sailor Moon make for a great fusion world because they take place.
I still have to read that blasted crossover.
Oh,
I keep meaning to get around to it.
There's some really good ones. There is some really quality ones in that section.
Was Ranma the guy who turns into a
Yes.
girl when he touches hot water?
Yeah, they
Cold
actually
water?
took place basically 2 districts away from each other, and worked at roughly the same power level, and took place during roughly the same time period. And so
I'm sorry, was Ranma in what? Sailor Moon?
Sailor Moon, yeah. And so there's barely any need to modify anything because of how both Sailor Moon and Ranma handled the world building aspects, or quote unquote didn't handle the world building aspects. So there was very little that actually needed to be forced together to make that crossover / fusion work. And because of that, you didn't have to make an entirely new series to, you know, support the crossover happening. Unlike, say, Harry Potter and Pokemon, where unless you
Out of curiosity, which of those is like the one you recommend the most?
Which one?
I'm sorry, Ranma and Sailor Moon.
There's quite a few. Dark Lord's Ascendant's pretty good. So basically, TLDR, the story premise is that Ranma and Ryoga were shitposting one day, and were pretending to be, you know, evil Dark Lords for some obscure reason. Like I said, shitposting. And they unfortunately happened to come across the Sailor Scouts while doing so. And everything kind of spiraled out of control in a very Ranma-style way, where they kept posing as evil guys, because now all the evil guys thought they were also evil guys. And so
They were in the evil guy club.
Yeah, effectively, and they're like,
Evil gang.
shit, the evil guys are after us now, thinking we're also evil guys, but because they think we're also evil guys, they're handling us different than normal. And like, it's actually a really great series, so things like handled very in line with how both series handled their conflicts. I thought it was incredibly well done. It's a 3-part series, and he's still writing the 3rd part, but the first part itself stands on its own. It is, technically speaking, a completed story if you just read the first part.
Neat.
Yeah.
I still wish. Speaking of things that stand alone on their own, man, I wish that Taylor is a Necron Lord story would get updated. I know it won't, but I still
wait,
wish.
which one? The Collector?
Yeah, the one where she's like a pink Catan at the end of the story.
Oh, you mean Luis?
Oh, Louis, yeah. Wait, what did I say?
Taylor.
Oh, I mean, yes, there's some good Taylors and Necron Lord ones too that I
the
want
Collector.
to update.
But,
So
yeah,
who's
the Collect-
Taylor, and why
Taylor
is
from
she
Worm.
in the Oh, I'm not
the
reading that.
superpower dark cringe fic? Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Neat. Go ahead, keep talking
like
about
Familiar
it. I
Zero,
promise I'll listen.
Taylor's power is a very open-ended thing that you can do lots of crossovers with. So, But anyway, so yeah, speaking of which, anyway, so the other story for Ranma Sailor Moon I would recommend is, I forget the exact name of it, but I'll look for it and pull it up for you if you're interested. It's a
Me?
story in which Ranma is drafted into the Magical Girl Army. The Magical Girl Army, which Japan tried to form. And then subsequently
To
went
fight
rogue.
Godzilla?
And subsequently went rogue from Japan. Because they're a Magical Girl
Naturally.
Army, and they had all the magical girls. And it turns out, using Japanese cultural brainwashing to make all the magical girls obey authority, backfires when that authority doesn't want to bow to the Japanese government.
Base.
So hey,
Wah,
I don't know
wah,
why, but this
wah.
premise you're describing,
Yeah.
it kind of reminds me of that video game I really need to play called Bullet Witch.
Yes. And the whole premise is that at one point in time, Ranma ends up getting drafted into it, and has to fight against this whole conspiracy. And it's also a really good story. The author really nailed characterizing everyone, and pretty much everyone from the Magical Girl era makes some sort of cameo. Like, they don't have their actual powers from their various series, but like they make some sort of cameo as girls being, forced into this Magical Girl Army at school.
Mhm.
So I thought it was actually pretty good. It was a pretty good story. But it's very heavily focused on emotional conflicts. And the fighting's good, but it's less common than the I have to work this shit out, because to defeat magical girls, he has to become a magical girl. Because it turns out magical girls are kind of broken.
Just a tad.
They do fire nukes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
What?
Magical girls fire nukes?
Yeah, they fire nukes,
Yeah,
dude.
depending on the series, yes.
It's frequent.
The only time I can think of that
A
happening is
number of
Flip
Magical
Flappers.
Girls shows are
I
actually
actually can't think of a single
genre-
magical girls show where they don't fire nuclear missiles.
Yeah, most Magical Girl shows are
I was gonna say they do it
the
quite frequently.
shonen. So yeah.
I'm not exactly a connoisseur of magical girl shows. Like, the only one I've ever watched
not
that I
me.
actually loved was Flip Flappers.
What?
Flip Flappers.
I have never heard of that.
You have to watch Flip
that
Flappers.
one's pretty new. That's
That
on my
one's a
big
weird
backlog of stuff.
Mm.
First
Mm.
episode certainly grabbed me, but not enough to get me off my I think I was on, what was I watching at the time?
Who knows? But anyway, the whole point of this whole spiel, rant, diatribe here
Yeah, it was
is to bring it all right back around to why
It's been
Harry
40
Potter.
fucking minutes.
Yeah, why Harry Potter and Pokemon don't really work together. And that's because they're really too different. The power levels are way, way, way out of proportion. Pokemon, you have your average pest capable of chewing through steel bars, while in Harry Potter, your average pest is a normal garden snake. And your height of power is a slow-moving beam of green light that has to be enunciated loudly and clearly to land and use, versus someone who can move so fast they break the sound barrier and can punch you before you realize the sound barrier has even been broken. So
Are you talking about Hitmonchamp?
I'm talking about extreme speed.
Oh, any Pokemon then.
Yeah, that's kind of my point. Where you kind of require a lot of things to be able to use Avada Kedavra. Like specifically wanting someone dead. Like dead, like really fucking dead. You have to really hate that person to cast it and kill them with it. That's canon. And yeah, literally any fucking Pokemon can punch you faster than the speed of sound. So it's a little bit of a power difference going on, and not to mention shit like Hyper Beam, Blaze Burn. Which,
what about all the ghost Pokemon? Like all the Pokemon.
I was gonna say there's the ghost
and whatnot.
Pokemon, the psychic Pokemon.
What do they do about the
types.
Sandcastle Pokemon that eat children's souls?
Yeah.
What do they do about Hypnos?
Oh no. Oh.
Or Cubone.
Yeah. So anyway, you get my point though. Is the power scaling's a little bit uneven.
And of course, don't forget literally God.
Yeah.
If I were just really cool
Which
in that
one?
universe, I'd just replace all the Dementors in Azkaban with Cubones to make everyone even more depressed.
Oh.
Jesus.
No one leaves Azkaban because they just feel bad for the Cubone.
Yeah, they all just
It's
cry
part of
themselves
the
to
rehab
death.
program. You adopt a Cubone, you care for it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I really don't like the crossover in general. It's being handled a little bit better in Elemental Trinity because it's only those 3 Pokemon that are left. Period. And they're all the like baby starters. So like they don't know anything beyond Scratch and Tackle either. So it's drastically different when you do a fusion world in where all the Pokemon are there, and actually the Britain is actually just a continent in the Pokemon world. Basically, everyone has access to a Pokemon, and as Arn said way earlier, this is not a Harry Potter story. This is a Pokemon story with a quote-unquote original region with a bunch of Harry Potter character names involved in it.
Yeah, all of the Pokemon have always been really overpowered, and that's why I've always just hated any idea of them crossing over with anything. Like the only other universe I think could survive Pokemon is Dragon Ball Z, and I'm pretty sure even then not so much.
Not only is it a problem of crossing over with Pokemon in general because of the power levels, but it's also because of the language barrier, where you normally are able to hand wave people speaking the similar language because fuck you, I can. Pokemon canonically do not tend to speak normal human languages. And so having an entire story where one Pokemon ends up in a universe that doesn't even speak the same human language, communication errors are going to be a large problem. And it's not really going to be fun writing about 5 to 10 chapters of you're not able to have your characters talk to each other. So Max and I tried to write 1 chapter of that, and it wasn't even that they couldn't talk to each other. It's just one character didn't have a name, and by God, I actually wanted to shoot myself by the end of that. I regretted it. I liked how it worked. I liked how it worked. Don't get me wrong, but I regretted
But we
it.
scurried. But when we got to the end, it was like, we can't do this for another chapter. We need to just throw the name in now.
Yeah.
Or just stop writing the story.
Yeah.
I was like, what is he talking? It's like, chapter 1 of our first co-op story. Oh, fuck.
Because the issue is that when you're doing a third-person omniscient, but you're not... You might have... You would have to describe character A, making motions, saying something, doing something, and then you would have to describe how character B doesn't understand that. And then every single time character A tries to communicate something or character B tries to communicate something, you would have to establish that, once again, they still can't communicate with each other. Because when they can start communicating with each other, you need to let the audience know that. Because that's how you actually would progress the character development between the two of them. So...
I just write a story where 2 people are just mutes.
Yeah? How'd that work out?
Just to save that trouble. Well, nothing. They just do their own thing and ignore each other.
Oh, okay. So, like, a co-op gameplay of A Way Out. Got it. But anyway,
I've never played it, but I did see... I see a lot of people here like Soviet Womble, at least.
Soviet Womble's an interesting fellow. Yes. But yeah, so anyway, this story is garbage. I'm not really even gonna bother reading it. I'll read the
Thank God.
first
What's the
chapter.
next story on the itinerary?
Don't worry, I'll read the first chapter because I know how much you want to hear it. But yeah, so apparently a little Surrey exists in Avalon. Of course, it does. And Harry Potter lived in the cupboard still, because of course he does. In a world where the police have psychic Pokemon, Harry Potter lives in a cupboard. Makes sense.
Actually,
I just realized how
this is
Orwellian
this is a
that
world
could
where kids
actually-
are taken better care of.
Yeah.
Because at the
Wow.
end, you're expected to go out. That's a common thing at the age of 10 is just go on an adventure, kid. Just make sure you write home.
Yeah.
Make sure you write home. Don't talk to Team Rocket because they're the local criminal organization that everybody knows about. But, if you do join them, at least they have good health care, son.
And they pay you in gold. I mean, hey man, Team Rocket.
And they're both private and public criminals.
Team
public
Rocket
sector
applies
criminals.
to the gold standard. I don't know. Maybe they're not that bad.
Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah, Team Rocket pays its members in gold nuggets.
Holy shit. That's awesome.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, gold is of significantly less value in a universe where you can just, be like, hey, Geodude, I need a few more G's.
Oh, hey, Caesar. Welcome. We just finished writing we just had a giant diatribe. Now we're actually reading the fic. Guess we began writing a Western because you're a big idiot. Well, hey, look, man, Westerns can be cool.
I hate Westerns.
Just channel your inner dime novelist. You'll be fine.
Right, exactly. Listen to Johnny Cash sing Big Iron on repeat for about 20 hours and you should finish your book.
What?
And also don't forget the Ecstasy of Gold.
What?
What does that have to do with finishing your book?
A Western.
He's writing a Western.
Cowboy music.
Okay.
So watch Johnny Cash on sing Big Iron and you'll be done. I mean, if you want to read something slightly less terrible, let me know and I'll link something up. I mean, hey man, if you want to throw yours up for the next story, I'm all for it. Just slap it in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, regrettably, we do only read trash.
Yeah, pretty much. Typically, unless someone
What?
links their
Okay,
stuff.
typically.
Yeah. Caesar. Is Caesar in here? It does not look like Caesar's in here. Someone will have to collect that link from him because links are still banned in the chat. I do remember that my last one was just trashy, but not exactly trash. Yeah, we didn't dump on it too hard, from what I remember. I was pretty drunk though, so I don't really have the best memory of that.
What was it he linked?
I actually don't remember what story it was.
Because usually what ends up happening
Didn't he
is
have
we'll
the
get a
space story thing?
The what?
Wasn't that Calvin?
With Calvin? No.
Not Calvin
I
was
think-
Calvin was a
No.
couple of stories.
No, that was back.
I don't
that
think
was way
Calvin's
back
been there
in
for
the
a
day.
fucking
Oh
while.
yeah,
Galleon
Space
Javelin.
Galleon Javelin. Yeah, we read that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's now on sale. Oh, good job, dude.
Congrats.
Good on you.
Hey, congratulations.
But anyway, so yeah, the most cupboards do not contain boys in them, named Harry Potter, especially. I love
What
how
a terrible
I love the
name
narrative.
to name your son, Harry.
I love how the author's narrative is handled here. It's really garbage, and I hate it. But he wasn't a bad boy being punished despite what his relatives have believed. Of course, his relatives were not the best judges of character, though Harry didn't know this. So I'm really not sure what perspective is telling us this. Is this like a snarky narrator? All he had known was their rules, and thus assumed he must be bad for breathing too loudly. Hey, Max, remember that?
Isn't this a common trope?
No, I'm talking about the time my stepmother yelled at me for breathing too loudly while I was on voice chat with you.
I mean, look,
Oh,
that
yeah,
was your
it
fault. You shouldn't have been breathing so loud.
You, me, Trios, and I
Enables,
think
yeah.
Enables are
To
up.
this day, she refuses to talk to me whenever I have my phone or my headset on.
That's smart. That's unusually smart of her.
To this day, she refuses. It's kind of hilarious. Wait, she literally refused. I brought my laptop down when I was visiting my father. At one point, I had a pair of headphones in, and she was like, she refused to even talk to me unless my laptop was closed and my headphones unplugged. She was like, "Is that recording me?" No, it was.
Power move.
Oh but anyway, so yeah, Harry was abused totally, really awfully bad and stuff in a world where people don't abuse children. Let's see. Honestly, I've seen more abuse from children towards adults in the Pokemon universe than I have seen the other way around.
This is actually
Not wrong.
funny. Are you
Say
talking about the
they're
cartoon
not-
or the game?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, like fucking Sabrina. Like, holy shit. Yeah. Oh yeah. She controls the psychic gym. Oh yeah. How old is she? 5? Oh, okay. Well, how did she become in control of the psychic gym? Oh, well, she turned everyone into puppets. Oh, like she mind controlled them? No. Like she turned them into literal puppets.
Did she
What
ever
the fuck?
undo that?
No, I think she did at the end when Ash beat her.
Well, if you take the only the only genuinely amazing Pokemon game ever, the animal abuse is pretty rampant.
Which one?
Gale of Darkness.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There was a
The
lot of
best
animal abuse
Pokemon
going on in
game
Gale of
ever
Darkness.
Are you sure it's Sabrina or the small child that was with Sabrina?
That was also
The
Sabrina.
doll? Yeah, they were both Sabrina.
They were both Sabrina.
I actually remember that despite hating that cartoon as a kid.
Yeah.
And I remember the giant Rhyhorn robot coming out of the ocean.
That was also really weird.
Yeah.
There was a lot of. I did like that they did canonize at one point the reason why Team Rocket, the three that keep attacking Ash, the reason why they can keep affording these giant fucking robots despite like them having.
Isn't
only
it because
been shown...
James is a billionaire?
Well, actually, no. He's cut off from his funds for a good portion of the show.
Okay.
But the reason why, so basically they canonized that Team Rocket, when they're not attacking Ash, run food stands, merchandise shops, opportunistic gambling dens, and Pokemon healthcare centers whenever they're short on money. And then apparently they also canonized that there is just straight up a large mech parts monthly magazine that people can order large mechs from, but assembly is not included.
Which,
These
by
guys
the
must be
way,
mechanical
means that
geniuses.
either Jesse, James, Meowth, or all three are now, like, college-level engineers.
Yeah,
No, they're beyond college level.
and the reason
Yeah.
why they always explode is because
Yeah.
they can only buy from the cheap section, which has warning labels of "will explode" on it. That's canon, and I love it.
To be fair, the one season that they weren't chasing Ash and Pikachu
Oh,
is
they
where
were.
it's like actually they are two of the highest operators in Team Rocket, but for some reason they've been off their game recently.
Oh,
'Cause they're
honestly,
just chasing
I
this
liked
dang
actually like the
kid.
fan theories when they showed that change. I really liked the fan theories around that where they're like, actually, it's the Jesse and James are really soft on kids, and so they use their position to keep all the other Rocket members off of Ash by constantly going after him, and then
That's adorable.
like teaching him life lessons by like kidnapping his Pokemon with really crappy robots and letting him beat them.
I was gonna say, well,
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
precious.
listen, I support that one, but then you have the weird people who are like, by the way, Jesse's gonna teach him a bunch of life lessons, and I'm like, no.
Oh yeah, then there's those.
But I'm just it's amazing to me that apparently Ash's Pikachu
Yeah,
I
I'm
appreciate
sorry,
it when
Caesar. I am
appreciate-
retarded when it comes
Uh-oh.
to bots, so I do not have a bot
Oh.
that will give you a Discord link. That's why I have in the
Yeah.
lower right-hand corner the link to the Discord, and I also have a giant Discord picture which has a link to the Discord in it. Because
Yeah,
I
if-
cannot
if
program bots for my
Sneaky-
life.
if Sneaky tried to set up a bot on Twitch, it would somehow explode something.
We've tried
It
before.
it would light at least one server on fire.
We've tried.
Yeah.
We've tried before. Yeah.
Yeah, but I appreciate that Pokemon Smart would be like, it went from we're trying to get this Pikachu because Pikachus are really rare in this region to
Yeah.
this is the strongest Pikachu. Why would we not take it?
Literally 1v1 Zapdos.
Like, yeah, you know what? I'd probably want to try and get my hands on that strong of a
I'd be like,
Pokemon
well, you know
too.
what? It's time for this kid to learn the value of theft.
Drop it in Fanfiction Contempt Theater 9000. It's under Fanning the Flames. But no, yeah. Also, I did like how they canonized that Jesse and James were actually two rich kids who grew up in really toxic families. And
Oh yeah.
the whole reason
yeah,
why they
I
even
forgot
knew
about
each
that.
other was because they were set to be married by their families to each other. And so they're like, wow, actually, fuck this shit, we're out of here. And so they ran off together to go become criminals because they didn't have any other way to get money. But they're
Yeah.
also actually really fucking smart because they spent the entire childhood of their lives having an endless stream of the best tutors money could buy. So they're both like actually really fucking smart.
And that's why they're able
Yeah.
to build giant mechs on their lonesome.
And that's why they're also able to just randomly start up businesses with like within the day of moving into an area and having them be successful. Yeah.
Yeah,
Aw,
they're definitely
C8,
one.
you're posting adorable stuff.
It's definitely one of those really weird things where it's like you could literally do anything you want, but you decided this is just very fun.
Yeah, more or less.
Like
You could have
we've
been
seen them.
like genuinely the worst people in existence, but instead you're just shit posting, basically.
Like you really insist on that Pikachu for some reason, but like at this point, is it just the cost fallacy?
Sunken
Like,
cost fallacy?
probably.
It's
Probably.
not, yeah, the sunken cost fallacy.
No, because again, if you
Ignoring
want to
the
take the
fan
movies into
theory,
canon, well, if you no,
like-
you like ignoring all fan theories, if you want to take the movies into canon, they actually do follow around Ash, and they end up helping him a lot to save the world. And their little song is about saving the world. So if you want to extrapolate just from the movies, they might entirely follow around Ash because they know he gets into really dangerous hijinks that also involve saving the world. So they're just like, well, you know, what was it the exact words they said when Ash asked why they were helping him? We can't rule over the world if it isn't saved.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense.
On the topic of movies, if they just wanted that overpowered Pikachu, they could have just stolen Mewtwo's cloning technology.
I think they tried
just
in
made
the
a
first
shitload.
movie, didn't they?
Did
I would
they?
say they were a little busy learning life lessons from Mewtwo.
You know, yeah, in the Mewtwo movie, they snuck into his cloning part of his facility and tried to steal the good tech, but then they got attacked by a bunch of clones, and the tech ended up blowing up, and then they got mind wiped.
Huh.
So
Alright.
they actually did try.
Credit to them, they made an effort.
There was an attempt. Yeah, so anyway, I really like Jesse and James. They're actually genuinely great characters if you look past their villain of the day shtick.
You want to know who are two characters you'll really love? The Bonnie and Clyde ripoffs in not Danganronpa, Bakano.
Oh, those two are great.
Look, you're saying a
haven't
bunch
seen
of
all of
Japanese
Bakano,
words
but,
at me,
like-
and I'm not understanding any of them.
Okay, it's just
Oh.
a show that follows like three different crime. three
Three,
different.
just three.
No, it follows three. I'm pretty sure it only follows three different like groups, doesn't it, or is it four?
There's
Either
at
way,
least
it
four.
follows a bunch
Wait,
of
isn't
criminals that all have
Bakano a card game?
circumstances.
Hang on, let me explain it. Okay, so Bonnie and Clyde, the world's greatest assassin, two gangs, a group of immortals, and a small-time gang all get onto the same train. That's the story.
This feels like a Red Dead story, like something
It
that would
could
come
be.
out of Rockstar.
It could be.
It could have come out of Rockstar. I'm gonna be real.
It's
Just the
pretty
first
great.
2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah, like I've
Like-
seen a lot worse.
Listen,
Fair
the
enough.
the Bonnie and Clyde duo are fantastic.
They're just so much fun.
They are.
And they
They're also
accidentally
so
become
They're
immortal
also
too,
so
spoiler.
courteous in the middle of their crime spree.
Yes.
It's like, could you hold this for a second? Thanks.
So this is another thing here that I'm really not getting. So the author kept the established canon of Harry Potter, where Petunia hates Lily for being a horrible freak who let her own stupidity get her killed, which makes no sense in the context of a world where Pokemon trainers and Pokemon exist. Like, yeah, that's right, your mother was a Pokemon trainer in the Pokemon world. She's stupid and horrible. What? What? Like, what?
Yeah.
This is an anti-Pokemon trainer zone?
Yeah, no, literally it is. Like, the Dursleys are actually fucking anti-Pokemon Luddites who live on a Pokemon-free island.
Is it? Wait, no, it's not a Pokemon.
Yeah.
It can't be a Pokemon-free island.
No, it pretty much is. They fucking hate Pokemon.
No, yeah, I know, but it's in the Avalon region where all the Pokemon trainers go to Hogwarts.
No. It's off the coast of the Avalon region.
Surrey is a small island off of the coast of the Avalon region.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so Harry doesn't actually know what Pokemon really is.
I'm really curious as to how they're just gonna fucking kick down the door. Harry, your parents were Pokemon trainers, so we're drafting you into the military.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
What?
Don't you mean were?
Yeah.
Harry's first Pokemon better be a Cubone.
You're really pushing the Cubone ankle.
I'm pushing the
Oh my
Cubone
fucking
thing.
god.
You'll be ironic. It isn't.
No, his first Pokemon's gonna be a Yamask.
I've never. I
Nah.
don't know that much about Yamask. I know what
It'll
it
be
is.
ironic. It's an Eevee.
It's a ghost Pokemon that was
I know what
once
it is,
human.
and it looks like it has an Egyptian mask on it.
Yeah, and its mask carries all of the memories of its past life.
Ew.
Yeah.
And if you put on the mask, you experience all the memories and/or possibly get possessed by the Yamask.
No, he should have a Cubone and a what was the deer Pokemon in Gen 2?
Stantler.
Stanley.
Stantler.
Stanley the Stantler.
Pretty decent Pokemon, actually.
Yeah, it was okay.
I think the kid version of it was Stanley, and the adult version was Stantler.
Oh, they made a baby one in the future games?
No,
Alright.
hang on.
No, the deer current Pokemon was part of like Gen 5 or something.
No.
Oh, it's Gen
Yeah.
2.
That was Johtoad, my dude.
That was
Yeah,
Gen,
Stan-
that was
Stan
Johto.
was Gen 2.
Deer, not stag. Deer.
Yeah, that's
True.
what we said.
Idiots.
He has a
I'm
point.
not talking about the legendary. I'm not talking about Zero or whatever the fuck.
Zeros.
No.
Whatever the fuck. Yeah.
There is a deer Pokemon. Deer
Oh, the grass
lips.
one?
Yes.
That is
What?
that one is adorable. There's a grass normal type deer Pokemon.
Oh, Deerling. Deerling, I
I
guess.
think it was just
Oh, it has
deer lips.
seasonal forms. Oh,
Yeah, Deerling.
Yes.
Aw.
That was black
okay,
and white, I
well,
think.
we're all fucking retarded. Apparently, Stantler's a caribou.
Caribou-like.
he is a.
Then yeah, you should have the grass normal type from Gen 5 or whatever. Am I
Yeah,
disconnected? Okay,
no,
you guys
we
are
hear
right
you.
here.
Yeah, okay, so down on trivia, Sneaky.
What about
Does
origin,
everyone
name,
send
origin.
messages to Hoot Hoot?
Yeah,
What about Hoot Hoot?
Indeed. That was a good book.
What was a good book?
Hoot, or whatever it was. The book about the ground owls.
I have no
Oh,
idea
Guardians
what
of Gaul?
No, the ground owls.
Holes, I think it was.
No, that's about the black guy with
No,
peaches.
Holes is about kids in a prison system.
Yeah. No,
It's basically the kids' version of
Oh my god. There was a Gen 1 deer type Pokemon that was never put in, and it was just named Deer, and it looks like shit.
fucking amazing.
Hang on, I'm posting the 2 pictures of it on Discord right now.
So anyway, no, I'm talking about Hoot. It was a book about the Florida ground owl.
God, what is this?
Oh,
Oh,
I have to look at this.
what
Oh
is
my
this
fucking
combination?
Christ,
This is
what the-
like
Why would they?
It's like Kangaskhan and
this turned into
Standler got
Pinsir. I feel like this turned into Pinsir and Genghis Khan, didn't it?
no
Genghis
You guys
Khan.
never saw
and
this?
the bull Pokemon.
This
No, I've
cover?
never seen this thing.
I've
Oh,
never
this.
seen
no.
this either.
Oh, Hoot.
Yeah.
I've seen that, but
I've
God, that was
never
so
seen
long ago.
that.
I never picked that book up.
Really?
I don't think.
It was a mandatory book to read in 4th grade for us.
Not for us. Not down here
Not
in
for
the
us
south.
either.
Hoot is a 2002 mystery suspense novel. It takes
I was
place
out
in
of the
Florida.
4th grade by then.
Oh yeah, I was.
Yeah.
I was in
Takes
the
place
5th,
in
I think.
Florida, where the new arrival Roy makes 2 friends and an enemy, and joins in an effort to stop the construction of a pancake house, which would destroy the only colony of the burrowing owls. So basically, this book was made in an attempt to draw attention to the rampant construction that was destroying burrowing owl homes in Florida. And this book actually is credited for starting the environmental movement to protect their homes in Florida.
We have an environmentalist movie for every single fucking thing.
I know.
But yeah, this
It wasn't
deer
a bad book,
Pokemon.
honestly. It was actually a fairly decent book, and it's about a bunch of teenagers sabotaging capitalist endeavors.
They made a movie about it.
Cringe. They're sabotaging the progress of humanity.
But if you look at this art I just posted in the Discord, the deer
Am I gonna have
Pokemon,
to,
I think
am I
it's
gonna have to ban somebody?
who,
I-
me?
Why would we have to ban anyone?
I
Yeah,
hear the
well,
phrase
yeah.
art, I think of nose hairs art.
Okay, no.
No.
It looks
Yeah,
like a
right.
Genghis-Khan
It-
had
Look,
had
it's
sex
cursed
with
as
a
fuck.
Taurus.
bad.
It is pretty cursed.
Oh,
I will be real
okay,
with
all
you.
right. I'm okay. Looking at this thing, I can see Pinsir, Genghis
Yeah,
Khan, and the hit.
it's
series
fucking
Pokemon, like-
disturbing. It's,
Yeah.
Taurus too.
What
Taurus
is
too. The tail.
this? Oh yeah, the tail. Yeah.
there is just so much wrong with everything.
Are we sure that this was concept art and not just a fan thing?
It might have been
This
a fan
has-
thing.
It looks as stupid as some of the fan stuff in Gen 1.
Yeah, it was pretty dumb. Yeah, but you know, my
There was
uncle
some
who worked
dumb
at
shit.
Nintendo back in the day said there was totally a Pokemon, and so clearly it must be.
You should go punch your uncle in the nose.
No, my uncle did not work at Nintendo back in the day.
No,
I know you were
I know.
wrong.
You should probably find your least favorite uncle and go punch him anyways.
I wouldn't have noticed the
Um,
Hitmonlee in there if you hadn't mentioned it. But yeah, I see the Hitmonlee too. The
Sorry.
legs and
I'm
the neck.
pretty sure that's a fake. I'm pretty sure you got duped, my dude.
Yeah, that feels fake.
So yeah,
Go to
anyway,
Lost
no
Pokemon.
Pokemon exist on this island. They were all
What did
wrong
Coach
in their.
just post?
Don't ignore it. It's nose hair.
No, Sneaky, I think this is relevant to you and Atin.
No, this is real. This is a real
What the
Pokemon
fuck?
concept.
Wait, what the fuck?
What? Okay, hold on.
Okay, well, actually, this is relevant. This is relevant.
Stop talking.
This is.
What the hell?
What are you guys looking at now?
I mean,
Netflix is announcing a Dota story.
This is about Dragon Knight?
Oh shit! I dig it.
What are you called? Davia.
Okay. Collaboration with Valve.
Dragon Knight.
I mean... oh, wait, it's coming out in March?
This came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's what the f-
Ooh.
I mean, speaking about fanfiction, hey guys, haven't you heard my new fanfiction?
Oh,
Oh boy.
I just
No, but
realized
here's
the
the thing,
trailer
here's the
might have
thing.
gotten this
No,
Here's the thing
no.
with that trailer. Here's the thing with that trailer, though.
This isn't Rooster Teeth.
That's the start of the show. Like, that either has to be the very start of the show or the very end of the show, because
Yeah.
Dragon Knight's whole story. Dragon Knight. Okay. Dragon Knight in Dota is basically Siegfried
Yeah,
from
he's Siegmeyer.
Fate. Like
Siegfried?
no,
Freed.
Siegfried.
Yeah, Siegfried.
He goes, he stabs a dragon, and instead of bathing in the dragon's blood, the dragon goes, "You know what? You are the only person who wasn't too much of a coward to 1v1 me."
Actually,
dragon
it's actually
powers.
worse than that. So basically, the first half of Dragon Knight's life is him chasing this dragon down.
Mm-hmm.
And the dragon finally succumbs to his old age and can't run away anymore. And so when they do finally 1v1, and the dragon's like, dude, I'm fucking old. Strike me down, but if you don't strike me down, I have a deal for you. And the dragon.
Well,
Knight's
no.
like,
Hold on. Let's be clear here. Like, he's way cooler than that because he spends years chasing this dragon and fights this old dragon dying, and he's like, nobody's gonna give me accolades for killing an old man. And so then the old man is like, dude, stab me, give me an honorable death in combat. And he's like, okay. And then the dragon stabs him in the throat and gives him his blood.
Yeah, and then basically pulls a Dovahkiin where he inherits the dragon's soul and all of its powers, and slowly turns into the Dragon Knight, where he takes on more and more attributes of being a dragon, while still also
to the point where he can turn into a full dragon when he
Yeah.
bloody well pleases.
Yeah.
All right then.
Yeah, so again, it's I also like the Monster Hunter dragon they're using. It's like a fucking Diablos ripoff. And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
okay with it.
Well, I would say I appreciate that because this is the legendary Eldworm.
Yeah. So, I'm 50-50 on this already. If this is handled well, basically it's going to be an animated version of TF2 comics, if it's handled well, and that's always a plus if that's going to be real. If it's not handled well, it's going to be an animated
So it's going to be a
version of
Source
TF2
filmmaker
comics.
video?
Yeah.
No,
Effectively.
that's not happening in Sword. That's clearly being
No,
done by whatever team worked on
he's referencing
Castlevania.
SFM, just in general.
Yeah, I know.
No, he said it's going to be an animated TF2 comic. I'm like, you mean Source filmmaker videos?
Well, no, the reason why I said TF2 comics specifically is because I'm talking like as if Valve themselves made it. Because a lot of this...
Did Valve create Dota?
They bought it.
Oh, okay.
Well, I would say they bought
That
it
sounds
and
like
they
terrible
made
purchase
Dota
idea.
2. Because copyright.
Well, look on
Yeah.
the upside. It's definitely still going to end up better than X-Arm has so far.
What's XARM?
I think everything will be better
that's
than
fair enough.
X-Arm.
Oh
I will say
man!
though, Blizzard really shot themselves in the foot with Warcraft Reforged. Like not just beyond Warcraft Reforged, but so part of the Warcraft Reforged changes to BattleNet was henceforth Blizzard would own all ideas posted to the custom game section of BattleNet. And because they're really fucking salty about the fact that Ice Frog technically owned Dota 2 despite using the Warcraft 3 engine to make it. And so they changed the rules and said, if you guys create any cool ideas, we own him.
Well, I was gonna say because it's not
And then
just Dota 2.
They bombed it so hard.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not just Dota 2 they're salty about. They're salty about the fact that because it's not just Dota 2 they lost out. They lost out on Han, they lost out on League,
That's true,
and they
yeah.
lost out on Dota 2. Because by the way, this is the most important thing to always remind League people of. You're playing a game that is literally stolen IP.
Ick. CG animation. Hate it already.
Ooh, Studio Mirror.
Honestly,
referring to
I have no
XR.
problem with this particular version of CG animation. I think it looks just fine.
No, I think X-Arm CG animation's garbage. It can be good.
Appleseed was kind of okay. So was
dude, Appleseed was something else, man. Fucking Appleseed.
So
Yeah,
was
now that I'm actually looking at the
Vexen?
GIF of the dude using the walk.
The rice isn't even coming out of the part he's flipping.
I'm not bothered by that. Look at the shoulder.
Oh yeah,
That
that's it.
shoulder is dislocating itself for that
So
motion.
the problem with that, the CG from that style is that the program that's used to make that CG, it's the same program that they use to make Ruby CG. It cannot render the same stuff. It can't render everything else in the animation. It can just render the models moving. And so they have to use another program using the imported rendered models to put like the background and stuff like that in. And combine all
So I'm
the
going to say
rendered-
something that's probably very contentious.
Probably not. Go ahead.
I think all character animation should be hand drawn, and CG should be used for background assets.
I
and
don't
the
think a
like.
single person here is going to disagree with you because I don't think I've
Oh,
seen a
yeah.
single like genuinely good CG story yet.
No, I'm gonna disagree with that
Oh,
because
yeah.
Land of the Lustrous exists. Land of the Lustrous looks really
Yeah.
Um,
I haven't watched that one yet, but I did watch
Unfortunately,
one.
I don't
It is
think they use the same
overwrought.
CG program that everyone else uses. Because
No.
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Probably
It's
not.
made by the Japanese, so
But like, it still looks good.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
animated
Well, and I
well.
also want to
It
point out, like,
flows great.
this is done in the same style, right? Like, regardless of the fact that the storytelling
It's
for
horrendously terrible.
huh?
Oh,
I
good.
take it back.
Laura
There
brought
was
up my
one
favorite
CG
screen cap from
anime that
X-Arm.
was pretty. That
Oh,
was
boy,
actually
that's really
pretty
bad.
good looking.
But anyway, what I was gonna say was, regardless of the fact that the actual plot itself went super downhill for Castlevania, like the animation and the fight scenes are still good.
Mm.
Yeah, there is good CG.
Like, and it's
Animation.
What
done
the fuck is
in
that
that
second
style.
GIF, by the way?
Oh.
That is. What
I don't
the
know.
fuck is
That's
going on there? Like
a lot
that
of bad
is.
camera work.
Hey,
for
can one of you nerds help me out?
No.
what?
I'm thinking of an anime.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's sort of a mech anime, but the
Mhm.
mechs are powered by music. There's this white-haired
Sinful
girl,
Girl?
and huh?
No, that's a
Sinful Girl?
magical girl anime.
That's Magical Girl.
However, he is saying something that was on my backlog a
I-
few years back, but I lost
I
track
know
of
what
it.
it is, but I
Gray-
don't
Gray
remember
is the
the
actually
name
magical
of
pretty
girl
good.
it.
specialist here.
And they're fighting these shadow demons that are destroying the world.
That's
and
really
shit.
not. That's not narrowing it down.
I was gonna say, I
yeah, no.
The
Yeah,
music
no.
bit narrowed it down. The rest of it didn't quite narrow it down.
Hang on, I got powered by music.
No
Hey.
worry, moron. It's not Sympho Gear.
I feel like I know what he's talking about, but like it's not coming to mind.
Gurren
Yeah,
Lagann?
Hang
No,
on,
I
let me
also
check my
feel like I
bookmarks.
know what he's
I
talking
know what
about.
it is.
Like,
I've seen. I think it. I just need to remember the fucking name.
Sirius Diego, Bungers.
Yeah. So
Diaz,
anyway,
98 Days.
Someone
let's see. Let's keep
give us
going
the
here.
name.
Let's see how much this is a fucking.
Hang on a
shit show.
second.
Hmm?
No, that's not it. The Aura King.
No, but Sympho Gear is very much a heavy recommend. From
So anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, by the way,
so
if you haven't watched the first season,
the
like the
narrative
first season of
is,
Castlevania, I highly
continuing
recommend
on
the first season.
Oh, wait, I found it.
with,
I found it.
his parents were horrible people. Blah blah blah. Petunia's sister died because she left Little Surrey and went to the mainland to get involved in freaky things. And Uncle Vernon reasoned that his cruel words and actions were to drive out the DNA Harry had on him. Yes.
Excellent.
Whatever,
That's
you
how
can
this
just
works.
type it in the 9K chat. I'd appreciate
I will
it.
beat the DNA out of you. Indeed. Being a
Excellent.
freak is in your blood.
I will beat the genetic material out of you.
Yes.
Giggity.
I mean, technically,
I found it.
if you
called
beat until it
Listeners.
bleeds, then some of his DNA is leaving his body.
Yeah, but like
Ergo?
it comes back. That's the problem, right? You got to take it to the
I'm
next
actually
step.
pretty
Well,
sure Jack Racken
true.
could punch someone so hard the DNA fell out of them. I'm pretty sure Jack Racken
Yeah.
could manage that at least.
Now, here's the question:
Yeah.
if they continuously bleed him and
Yes.
get blood transplants from random people,
Yeah.
will they eventually bleed the DNA out of him?
No.
Oh, this is a completely different.
But the anime I was thinking of is
2020.
called Listeners. It's pretty.
Yeah.
alright.
Now, you do raise a good point, though, and however, there is actually a case of in Germany, there was a guy who got a bone marrow transplant for a majority of his bone marrow, because of cancer or something, and he had bone marrow seeds planted in a majority of his bones to replace the slowly dwindling amounts of bone marrow. And what they found out is that actually all of the DNA in his cells were replaced, like every single cell, including hair, skin, and whatnot, because the bone marrow was so critical to how the rest of the body reproduces its cells. Apparently.
Are you telling a true story here or a sci-fi?
No, this is real. No, this is actual. This is an actual story.
By
I
the
was looking at
way,
recently.
Gray, if you somehow got Macross from what this man said, you are insane. By the way, Macross actually
Macross
holds up.
F, not proper Macross.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
well,
there's
you
a-
don't
there's a-
say
there's
that.
Part of Macross that is literally just idols in space.
Yeah,
So,
Anyway,
Yeah.
I can
Uh,
totally
that-
see where Gray's coming from.
That
The
is
whole
the
reason
only
this came
thing
to
I've
light
gotten of
was
Macross.
because
Side note, I've started watching
It wouldn't that be a
Macross. Like
convenient time for
the
everyone
original
else to get out
Macross
me?
holds
I mean,
up
I could just
okay.
mute everyone.
Yeah, you could.
That might be it.
You know what? I think
But I think I'm gonna head out, boys.
Me too.
So anyway, the German guy got found out that majority of his DNA, including skin cells, fingerprints, and all sorts of other fun stuff that made him him, was actually replaced with his bone marrow donor's DNA, who, interestingly enough, committed a crime apparently or something, and that's how they found out because they were testing DNA of people, and he had a result hit or something because he went in for a blood test or something. And so when they were looking for that DNA, they got a hit for it, and the hospital notified them, and they came and they're like, "You aren't the guy we're looking for, but you have his DNA."
Is this at all related to that guy who had his AIDS cured because of a bone marrow transplant?
No, different guy.
So I have trouble believing that, but I also know there's a guy who had some super rare disease.
Well, it's
where
not a start of a conversation.
Liver was consistently brewing booze.
Oh, the guy who is drunk all the time because
that's not liver. That was his intestines.
Stomach.
I'm sorry, his intestines. His intestines are consistently brewing booze, and so he got 4 DUIs, and he's like, "I'm not drunk."
What's going on is his if he eats bread or other grains, his intestines are fermenting it, and he's getting shit faced off of it.
Yeah.
Like a hilarious medical condition to have.
Yeah, it's because the bacteria in his intestines mutated in such a way. It's a very rare mutation, but it makes them produce alcohol in larger amounts than what they normally would produce. That would get.
What I don't understand is why that guy isn't selling that bacteria. Just a simple extraction and insertion into your stomach, and now you have that condition.
Probably because most of the time bacteria like that's pretty unique to the person. Each person has their own unique bacterial culture that exists. It gets passed down from the mother, but it is pretty unique to them. And it's one of the things that is done as a medical procedure where they transplant stool from one person that has a healthy bacterial gut into a person that doesn't have a healthy bacterial gut. But it does have complications where because that bacteria was used to the environment of the healthy person, they can either wildly mutate or die off or cause more problems as either the body's immune system starts attacking that bacteria or the intestinal wall, or the bacteria starts attacking the intestinal wall. So it's all very interesting stuff how we've basically are walking around with our own strain of bacteria in our gut that our mothers pass on.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
But the bone marrow was cooler.
Yeah,
so you could just transfer your bone marrow to...
Yeah.
You could transfer your bone marrow, and then now you have an organ harvest machine for if you ever have problems.
That's certainly theoretically possible. From what I remember from the article, effectively what had to happen was it wasn't just a normal bone marrow transplant. It was a consecutive bone marrow transplant with a 90% death rate for his own bone marrow. So
oh my god.
Yeah. And so in the end, he for a decade or so, he didn't have a lot of bone marrow. He was basically hospitalized. And it was only finally thanks to all of these surgeries where they were finally replacing the missing bone marrow with this one guy's bone marrow that was highly compatible with him. Did he finally was able to leave as the bone marrow seeds took root and started growing again. And that's why a majority of his DNA was able to be replaced with the other guy's DNA. It's because there was no more of his own bone marrow producing cells or
blood cells especially.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I'm convinced
so
it didn't
then, I have a question.
all of his
if he,
DNA.
Let's say this guy shaves his head.
Yeah, no, it was a progressive thing where as cells died, they were getting slowly replaced over time.
Okay, that makes more sense. Because I was about to say, like, if it was just, I don't think all of his DNA was replaced. It was just enough that the DNA test showed.
It was
the other
stuff like
person's?
where like they could take a sample from the top of his head and it would show a different sample result from like the skin closest to the bone marrow transplant.
Got it. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, I was like, because I was just curious as to what level it had gotten to, right?
It was equated to the disease or genetic thing where people can lose the skin pigmentation in splotches over time, where it slowly expands out. Because
The thing Michael Jackson totally had.
yeah. We're not gonna talk about how he is replaced by the CIA.
Dude, he's a Rubin.
He was totally a glow.
The real
glow in
one
the
is actually on secret missions saving small children.
Indeed. In 40 years, we'll get a documentary made about it. So yeah, anyway, they beat the shit out of Harry until his DNA was black and blue. Let's see, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and I'm not even kidding about this. Like, the author is straight up saying that they just kicked the shit out of Harry constantly. Using the excuse that he needed to be brought back to reality. So the author is going with the disproportionately abusive Dursleys trope, where they are just...
Never seen that done well.
Yeah, they are just, for some reason, just so fucking abusive that literally no one would ever stand for it, except they do.
The only way that could possibly work is if it was told from the Dursleys' perspective and it progressively got worse because of the proximity to the Horcrux and Harry. Like if they actually just went full tilt into that.
I've seen people try and tie it to Dumbledore abusing the blood ward thing that Lily did to protect Harry in their headcanon. The whole blood thing that Lily did to protect Harry, Dumbledore would then take and like try expanding it over the house, except it like negatively affected the Dursleys because they felt like attacked and shit constantly. So they got progressively worse and worse, triggering worse reactions from the blood ward.
The most similar thing to that I saw was when I forgot what it was, Harry sought out some closure with them and they revealed that the blood ward made Petunia have multiple miscarriages and made it impossible for them to move, because that was one of the reasons they hated it, because he gave up on so many job opportunities to move, to stay in that house, because that's where the blood wards were and all this other stuff. And like that actually makes it not the miscarriage thing, but the fact that their own lives are over.
Yeah.
They're prisoners in their own home because of Dumbledore. That's very true.
Yeah. Dudley, if he was smart enough to create his own opinions, which he wasn't, just echoed everything his father said and would kick the shit out of him too. That was Harry's life. He would be have the shit kicked out of him constantly by everyone, and then he would be locked into a cupboard, and then they would do again. Uncle Vernon talked about his genetic abilities. If his blood did offer him anything, it was the ability to remain sane when he was beaten every single day. Harry had always known his life. He was 11 years old.
Later, guys.
See ya. He was 11 years old, and today everything was about to change, but Harry didn't know that yet. So again, this author is really inconsistent about what narrative point this story is being told through, whether it's being told from Harry's point of view, Vernon's point of view, or just an third-person, snarky, omniscient narrator point of view. And now we're back to Harry again, and Harry's thinking about Harry stuff. And then Hagrid shows up. And he's still Hagrid large, for some reason he's still Hagrid, even though Hagrid is only like that because he's half giant. Except he's still like that in this story because he can be, I guess, because the author's too unoriginal to actually, think about how that would change things. Well, big surprise. Yeah, so anyway, Hagrid still, apparently, Vernon looked tiny compared to how large Hagrid was. So apparently Hagrid's even bigger in this story.
Oh, boy.
I don't know why. Hagrid also wore 4 different jackets stitched together. So it could fit him.
That's,
Oh.
But he's human. Don't worry, guys. He's 100% human still.
Okay, so Hagrid's just a Primaris Marine.
Sure.
Yeah, apparently.
I'll be
Harry,
right back.
the man
He's
said,
half
"Are you
mad champ.
okay?" And Harry's like, "Yo, what?" He's completely shocked by the tenderness that this large man was showing him. I really don't like how this author's wording things. What's the meaning of this? What was in there? Vern, the old man has no power here. You know the rules. You speak to me of rules. I'm pretty sure Pokemon trainers have power wherever they want to have power. And the only thing that keeps Pokemon trainers in check is other Pokemon trainers. But if your island doesn't have any Pokemon trainers, then I'm pretty sure if Dumbledore wanted to, as according to this fan and canon bullshit here, he could have just taken over the island and no one would have stopped him. But anyway, so yeah, apparently citing the rules at him, you'll be imprisoned, they'll lock you away and put down your monster. A growl ripped through the house, and there was a large creature growling at Dursley's. You get out of my house, take that creature with you. You know the rules, the beast is not allowed on this island. Snubble return. Apparently, so yeah, Snubble apparently is the size of Vernon. For some apparent reason. Apparently Hagrid just has giant Pokemon as well.
Isn't Snubble like the size of a child at largest?
Yes.
Yeah. It's more toddler, baby size, I think.
Yeah, depending on I think the largest one that was in the anime was the size of like maybe like a
Height-
6-year-old.
Height 2
Yeah.
feet.
Yeah.
It's
thank you,
Bramble,
Ball.
that would be the big one.
Oh, Granbull. Yeah, there we go. Professor Dumbledore asked me to collect you. Yeah, again. So again, this is the other problem here. So the whole station in Harry Potter, in where Dumbledore can just be like, "Go collect this child from the non-magical world." The reason why he's allowed to do that is because he's like multiple positions in the government that let him just have authority, final authority on what to do with magicals, and he can, in fact, just order people to be removed from the non-magical world and brought into the magical world. He actually has the power to do that in canon. I'm not really sure how that works in this Harry Potter universe, where there's no such thing as wizards or a statue of secrecy, and he's just a normal Pokemon trainer, maybe like a really good one, like Professor Oak level, maybe. I'm not really sure how he's allowed to just ignore to order the kidnapping of children because the children's parents were Pokemon trainers that he taught once. Like, the author could have phrased it better, like, oh yeah, Harry, Dumbledore sent me to check on you, and you're being abused by your family, so I'm gonna take you away from here and get you a real family, quote unquote, or something fucking, like, literally fucking anything here, you know? But no, the author can't have that. The author has to be retarded and somehow both simultaneously use Harry Potter canon to justify everything that's happening, but also at the same time declare Harry Potter canon no longer canon because everything's now Pokemon, despite how massively that would actually change things. So I'm really confused here about the mixed messages the author is sending. Despacito, play Country Roads, indeed.
Okay.
So yeah, anyway, blah 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 blah, and so Hagrid kidnaps Harry, and Harry runs away with Hagrid. You must have lots of questions. Your family is garbage. Also, why did Harry have to stay with his aunt and uncle if there's no such thing as blood wards?
Only living relative. That's the
So?
only guess I got.
Yeah, but that's a really shit. That's like a really garbage excuse in a world where people constantly be orphaned by Pokemon attacks. Like, oh yeah, let's send them to a different fucking country. I'm pretty sure the orphan system in Pokemon is actually pretty robust and effective, and wouldn't just send a child to another fucking country that hates Pokemon, by the way. When the child was you know, family to a bunch of Pokemon and Pokemon trainers. Kind of feel like the orphanages would, you know, probably take him in.
Yeah.
Why does it sound like Dumbledore's on Epstein's Island? Well, that's because he was. Me mom would twist me ear for my manners. My name's Rubus Agrid. Hello, Agrid. My name's Agrid. Right, Agrid. No, my name's not Agrid. It's Agrid, like Airy. I'm finally getting what Hagrid was getting at. Oh, wow. You fucking slap my knee and giggle jiggle. Boy, author, you sure are funny. It's not Hagrid, it's Hagrid, like I've been saying. No, you're saying Hagrid. Yeah, I'm saying Hagrid. No, you're supposed to be saying Hagrid. Ha! Wow. That's a funny comedy routine there, author. Oh man, I just can't stop laughing.
Listen, Sneaky. People forget Hagrid just has subtitles enabled.
Wouldn't that be a fucking amazing superpower, though?
It would be really helpful, especially if you work a call center job.
Well, I mean, not only that, it's just like you can never mishear someone, because when someone says something to you but it's really indistinct, it'll either be indistinct shouting, so you can be like, I didn't hear you, or you'll just get the fucking text of like, pick up the eggs.
Yeah. Imagine how much you can scare the shit out of someone, like trying to hide their face, mug you. It's like, I know it's you, Francis. Wait,
Yeah.
what?
How do you know it's me? It says Francis right there on the dialogue text.
The what? That would certainly. Okay. Is it closed captioning always to your language?
Oh yeah, always to your language.
Also see the native language, because that would be super useful, unless it's shitty Google machine translation.
No. It's a superpower, so it's straight up just like the best translation possible as conceived by anyone who could translate it.
Yeah, that would be God, that could be an interesting, like, what? That could be an interesting, like...
I already know his superhero name, Max. He's the Negotiator.
It's not even a superhero name. He just goes around like, oh my god, I can't find the off button.
Imagine if you lived in a fucking apartment and it's just like sounds of sex. Sounds of sex. Dog barking, cricket chirp.
Oh god, it's like GTA. Oh, no, not GTA. God, what's one of those co-op games we used to play where it's like, oh look, the subtitles popped in and we still can't hear the people. It's like it's that level of
Far Cry 4.
subtitle. Yeah, it's like Far Cry 4. It's like, dude, can we even
it's
see
straight
them?
up proximity based, yeah.
Not even like the proximity though was like 10 times what the character themselves can hear. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying. It's proximity because the audio is based on how close you are to them. But if you're literally at the edge of the audio range, it's too quiet because everything else is louder than it. But you still pick up the subtitles for it because it's still playing the audio.
Like, yeah. So you just see the blaring sounds of sex. Like, I can't. Now that I know it's there, fuck.
You enter someone's house. The lights turn off. Welcome to the rice fields, motherfucker. Alexa says. Claymore Roomba has been released. Sounds of Fortunate Son play in the background. Just, you weren't even incredulous because of like what Alexa says. It's just straight shit. You're just reading these captions. You're just like, what the actual fuck?
Wait, what's that last one say?
Claymore Roomba. Oh, what?
Oh, yeah, that'd be problematic. Also, boy, I wish this render would hurry. 1080-60 takes quite some time to render now that I'm no longer using a Threadripper.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You moved off of that, didn't you?
No, it killed itself because it was the first round of the 1950s. Which I found out later, yeah, they stopped producing those because they were unstable. Who knew?
Wow, that statement's a little bit. That statement. It killed itself in the first round of the 1950s.
Don't forget, I got my hands on a Threadripper during its first
No,
month.
I know. I was referencing the large amount of suicides that happened in the 1950s as a result of World War II.
Oh yeah, that would have really fucked some people up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh,
So
that
that's
was
why I was like, the phrasing on what you said on like the first round of suicides in 1950s. I'm like, oh, ooh.
To this day, I'm still not sure if it was the board or the CPU, but I dropped both of them because if the CPU goes, it could take the motherboard. If the
Yeah, that
motherboard
happened
goes,
to me.
you don't. If the
Yeah.
motherboard goes and it took the CPU, you don't want to plug that CPU into a new board because it will also take that board along with
I
it.
wonder how a 90s kid from the main story of Harry Potter would react to their memes. You have to clarify that statement a little bit. Are you saying like someone from the 90s in Harry Potter reacting to Harry Potter memes? Or are you saying like someone from I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. You have to be a little more clear there. So anyway, yeah, this story is garbage. It's just replacing everything with Pokemon, and the author's like, there's gonna be shit tons of cameos, guys, and it's gonna be hilarious, and laugh at all my funny jokes. And he's made so much of it. I hate it. I hate it so fucking much. But anyway, you know what? Now that Caesar's gone, we're gonna sneakily cover his fic. Now that everyone is gone, we're gonna cover his fic and give him advice that he'll never see. Oh shit! Fuck! He's still here. I mean, Harry Potter himself and his classmates reacting to memes of his children's generation. Oh, I don't know. The only thing I can think of is Cursed Child, and I don't want to think about that.
No.
Kurt Storm squinted and tightened the bandana around his mouth as another gust of cold desert wind hit him head on. Feeling his horse begin to slow, he tapped it on the ribs with his spurs to keep it going at a slow pace towards the property of one Chuck Tut, whose two-story house came closer with every step his loyal horse took. A little bit worried. Light shone from the first floor windows. If Chuck wasn't home, someone was there. Besides the night stars, those were the only real sources of light. A little bit too little wordy. Kurt raised his bandana, spat, and covered his mouth again. His throat felt as dry as the New Mexican desert he was in. Fair enough. With a pull of the reins, he stopped his horse in front of the house. He jumped down and tied the worn leather leaves to the hitching rail. No one had seemed to be on the lookout either. Of course, why would they? They would only bring attention to the property. He hesitated. The desert wind rustled behind him. Not a whisper else. If anyone had seen his approach, they weren't showing it. He took a deep breath and kicked the door open. No time to figure out if it was locked or not. Back in the day, kicking the door open kind of would open it anyway. The aroma of herbs and cooked meat.
Come on. Those are very subtle things.
I'm just saying the construction on the doors back then in the Wild West were a little bit bad and ramshackle. And not typically made with keys. You see, the key in the Wild West was having a gun. If someone came into your house and you didn't want them in your house, you shot them.
Guns solved a lot of things in the Wild West.
Turns out the guns solve issues.
It helps you get food. It helps you protect your property. It helps you get into other people's property. Makes a great hammer.
It also makes, a solid impromptu self-defense weapon. It's not a true purpose, but it does the job, I found.
How would memes and political cartoons work in Harry Potter? Poorly. If anything is to go by, the people in Harry Potter's magical world are pretty fucking stupid. Like, I'm talking about, like, one news source stupid, where everyone's just like, oh yeah, well, the one news source controlled by the government said this, so clearly it must be true.
Why would our magical overlords lie to us?
Yeah, why would our magical overlords who are invested in making sure we're slaves forever lie to us?
I think you're being melodramatic.
I think you aren't being melodramatic enough. The aroma of herbs and cooked meat drifted from a clay pot sitting on the sturdy stone table of the dining that dominated the room. A single figure sat at the end of the table, balding, supporting a disheveled white beard. Gonna clear up the text on that one, my dude. That's a little bit rough. Also, that's not a sentence. Balding.
Does he mean sporting?
Yeah,
No,
probably
that's-
sporting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at this genuine magic that Harry can do, indeed. The aroma of herbs and cooked meat, blah 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 blah. Wait. You already said that. You just repeated yourself.
Yeah, what?
And wearing grease and dirt-stained shirts. Eyes open, big as marbles, staring right back at Kurt. Yeah, it's still not a sentence.
Prototype. He left the prototype paragraph in. I think you should erase that.
That's still not a good sentence. The balding, comma, supporting a disheveled white beard and wearing grease and dirt-stained shirt. Not only is the tensing really weird on that one, just the sentence structure itself. Eyes opened big as marbles, still part of the same sentence. Staring right back at Kurt, still part of the same sentence. There's
no, that's fine if you just.
It's a really awkward sentence.
It's the only thing making it awkward is using the wrong
sentence
word.
just needs some commas.
I think there's too many commas going on here.
No, this is still a fine sentence. Like, balding, sporting disheveled white beard, and wearing a grease-stained shirt. Eyes open, big. Like, it's a bit wordy, but there's nothing wrong with it itself.
I don't know. I think the inclusion of, he was balding, sporting a disheveled white beard with his grease and dirt-stained shirt. Eyes open wide.
Depends on how he's wanting to write it. Like, if he's wanting to write narration as vernacular for a Western, this is fine. If he wants to maybe emulate a proper Western, he might want to look at more, like, older proper English, like he would have learned in school,
right,
in primary education. But that's
why I was making that suggestion. It just felt weird for the tone he's trying to set for the story so far, that it suddenly just switched to just really awkward character description.
Well, yeah, but go back from the beginning. It seems a bit more relaxed and vernacular than like proper English. Just the first paragraph alone is much more relaxed than what I've seen, and when I have read one or two Westerns, that's fair. Far more relaxed than what I've seen for a normal Western.
That's fair. Counterpoint, I'm Mexican, not American. Well, unfortunately, my dude, you are better at English than a lot of the Americans I know. So I'm going to be judging you a little bit harsher.
You are better at using English than a number of people I've talked with.
The Mexican school system did not fail you the way the American school system did.
Yeah.
Man,
I guess then what we have to settle on is our recommendation to you, depending on how you want to take this story and the tone you want to set with this story, is I guess find the voice in your head you want to narrate your story. Whether that's just you using the vernacular English or you want it to be some grizzled guy drinking at a bar telling the story over a mug of beer to anyone who will listen.
Yeah, which is a different kind of vernacular. That one will have a bit more slang involved. Or if you want, try to track down some like online copies of old dime novels. Just to get a feel for the kind of English that they would use.
Or alternatively, also listen to audio clips of people like Clint Eastwood, Johnny Cash,
John Wayne.
Yeah. If you want to have that voice in your head, so you can structure the narrative around how that voice sounds saying certain words. I come from a Pulp Fiction background, so it was written originally as a pulp.
Right. That explains it then.
That means directing coarse language with lots of wases and hases. And some beta reader insists on wases and hases needs to go, which leads to a very wordy paragraph. Personally speaking, I don't really let beta readers tell me the finer points of narrative grammar. I'll let them tell me, hey, there should be commas here and whatnot. but the structure of your sentences is really up to you. The only time I am doing that and changing narrative structure of sentences is with Gray, but that's because we're both working on the same story together as partners, not as a writer and a person just checking the writing.
Yeah, they shouldn't be insisting unless they're your editor and they were assigned to you by the publisher.
Right,
Which
pretty
they
much,
weren't.
yeah. Pretty much the only
So-
person that can ever tell you how to write your story and you have to do it is the person who is saying, I'm going to publish your story.
Yeah, they can suggest, they should not insist.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think specifically for Westerns, wases and hases is a very iconic, I believe is the word I want to use here.
I think for that general period that we're thinking about with Westerns, yeah, like was and has and had would be used quite a bit. Again,
if I had a
older
publisher and an
English
agent, I wouldn't be broke. That's where you're wrong, kiddo.
You're very wrong about that one, sir.
unless you were writing like the next Harry Potter, you'd still be kind of broke.
I mean, hey, fucking J.K. Rowling was broke until the second book of Harry Potter. And that was only 4 years after the first one was published. I would have more money than I have now. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna
That's
say,
fair.
that one's at least probable.
That's fair.
Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Chuck Tut, Kurt said, quickly scanning the large room as he stepped inside and closed the door behind him with the back of his boot. There's a snake in my boot.
There's
There was
a
a small
snake in
kitchen in
my
one corner.
boot.
An old woman, still with her hands holding some cloth, looking at Kurt. Maybe Tut's wife. He didn't know. Kurt took another step inside, taking the bandana off his mouth. Neither Chuck nor the woman moved an inch. And the first floor was just one big room, with no divisions, but some pillars holding the second floor. The walls had windows on them, but none of them were open. The windows themselves, or the shutters, because the windows being open is really dependent on the type of house this was. If this was a larger open room, I'm assuming a more stacked log type construction. So not like the frame construction of modern housing, but more of these logs are being, hitched together with both hammers, nails, and cuts. Okay. So I would say then it would very much depend on those windows, because those windows tend to not be windows, but actually just holes in the wall, and they tend to have shutters over them, depending on the weather, of course, of the area. But you did say this is the New Mexico desert, so this would definitely be a case where it'd be more just shutters over the windows during the nighttime to keep as much warm air in as possible, but during the daytime you want as much airflow as possible, so the windows wouldn't actually be windows, they would just be holes. This is someone who lived in New Mexico.
Well,
for
and
a couple
plus,
weeks.
glass is ungodly expensive.
Oh yeah, back in the day, glass was also incredibly expensive, and if you were, building a general house, typically you didn't have that money. Wouldn't that be a tad wordy? Holes in the walls, windows? No, it's actually simpler than you think. You would just need to mention earlier on when he's talking about how he sees light through the windows. You just have to say he could see light through the shutters over the windows. That would imply the shutters have been closed, but there was, still enough gaps in them for light to be visible from the outside coming from them. And then when you have him looking around, he noticed that all the windows have been shuttered closed. And that you don't need to mention like the openness of them at all, or how there's no glass there. It's kind of just left up to the reader at that point. where if the reader imagines there's glass there, and until it becomes important, you don't really need to change their view of it. But if later on you have them jump out the window and there's no glass, they'll be like, oh, there was no glass, okay. And then we'll just change their mental image of it. Of
Until
course, you'll
someone's
have
getting kicked through the wall.
Yeah. But, you know. Hey, that might happen. It is a Western. Yeah, English is very interesting. Again, I can't really speak for other languages, but English is very interesting in the how much you can say without actually saying any of the words involved.
Yeah. And how much can be said with very few words sometimes.
Yeah, you can say there's no glass in the windows at all without even ever mentioning glass or windows.
Yeah. Fucking man, our high school education really fucked us up. Write a 1-page essay on this thing.
Oh,
I could
God,
tell
yeah.
it to you in half a page.
Yeah.
1 page or no credit. It's like,
Yeah,
okay,
it's got to be
just
1
teach me how
page. What about 1.5 pages? 1 page. Okay, so I have to make sure that whatever I have to say accomplishes this point in exactly 1 page, no more than 1 page and no less than 1 page. Tut
Yeah,
instead of Tutta. Oh, well, see, I thought this was a Star Wars Western. I thought he turned, thought he turned into a hut.
Oops. But man, our high school education did a good job teaching us to BS writing.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, I will say high school English did teach us one way of how to write English, and that's how to bullshit English. I do really think, however, after taking Champlain's technical writing class, especially with the teacher that I took him with, I really think that sort of class should be taught universally and as early as maybe 3rd grade.
Man, that will still forever be like one of the worst things I remember in high school. Was my 9th or 10th grade English teacher pulling me aside. It's like, are you sure you don't want to be an AP? Because this report you turned in and the reports you turned in prior to this, all of these are at college level writing. I remember, I didn't say it out loud, but I remember thinking, really? That's college level?
That's kind of sad to be real with you.
Like, fuck, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, U.S. educational system, known most for the devaluation of critical and creative thinking. So.
Common Core, anyone?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Man, I missed a bullet graduating the year before that was implemented.
We dodged that so hard.
I can only imagine how pissed off my honors geometry teacher was about it. This is the woman who, when she was looking at the book and looking at the board, she yelled and threw the book on the ground, looked and said, "Ignore the book. This is how you actually do it," because they wrote the wrong formulas down for that section.
Oh my God.
Oh, Jesus.
She's like, "Ignore the book. This is how you do it. This is how."
I will say also, a lot of my professors were pretty awesome when it came to books in college, where either the professor was like, well, I can't tell you to illegally download this book that costs $800. I can tell you, you should all read my syllabus very closely, and any links on there are sure to be important.
No, one of my favorites was the professor who was like, so I'm technically required to tell you that you need the newest edition of this book. What I can also tell you is that if you move all the page numbers back 5, any book going back 4 editions will contain 85% of the material in this book, and I might have left supplements with the other 15% on the source on the course syllabus.
Yeah, there was another teacher who was like, technically speaking, I'm required to issue you guys all a book for this class. So instead of actually making you guys buy a several $100 book, I'm making you guys all buy this really nice book that I read over the summer. It's only $10, and it's a pretty good fantasy story.
Oh, that's nice.
Also, by the way, here's the links to all the books we'll be using this year.
Good teachers. Good teachers.
Look, my favorite thing about Champlain was that I sat in the common room with Chuck and one of the lit professors, and we talked about Mistborn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Isley says, I got learned from a bit of Common Core. It was utter bullshit. A good portion of why math really isn't my thing. Yeah, it's unfortunate how much Common Core sabotages children, especially their English abilities. It's kind of really sad because we see so many fictions these days of people who have gone through Common Core, and you can actually tell now.
There's a noticeable drop off. I will.
And like the worst part is, right? They don't know any better. Like,
yeah.
we can only get so mad because it's like they don't know. They just don't know.
Yeah.
And not only that, the culture cultivated around it is you can't correct them because that's racist, and you know, I'm a hater. Like, that was literally a thing. Is that someone was complaining today on the r/fanfiction subreddit? Yeah, big shocker. Someone was complaining about how they were equating people who left comments like, I don't like your story because you XYZ reason. And they were equating people who did that to people that just posted, like, kill yourself, stupid idiot, like 120 times and emailed them and found their Twitter and posted on their Twitter and they just kept posting it over and over again with sock accounts and, like, harassing them day in and out. They were equating the two as the same thing.
That is not the same thing at all. Also, my coworker showed me a bit of Common Core math that his daughter had to go through. It's like, he's like, look how bullshit this is. I'm looking at it, and I look at him straight on, like, dude, they're trying to teach your kid, like, entry-level cryptography without explaining how it works.
Yeah.
Because he's like, yeah, you're supposed to, like, line the numbers up and do a column and do this, and I'm like,
all right, anyway, I gotta go.
Yeah,
what is this code cracking bullshit?
Yeah. No, it's such a sad state of affairs, and especially as a person who uses Grammarly, so I know what kind of foibles Grammarly has. I can tell when a story has been corrected, auto-corrected by Grammarly. When someone just went through with Grammarly and just accepted every single change, I can tell exactly when stories like that are done. Because I know Grammarly's interesting foibles when it comes to creative narrative writing.
Yeah, remember when Grammarly was like a go-to rec, and now it's like, nope, it's teaching people the wrong things if they want to get into writing.
Oh, probably the most offensive thing. I'm actually genuinely offended by this. So the most offensive thing I've ever seen Grammarly do was it will highlight words and it will mark the word as incorrect. Because the majority of people might not know it.
See, here's the problem. I don't like that because that's the same stupid bullshit that is causing Google's search algorithm to get worse and worse with every passing month, is that more people are being stupid about what they look up. I'm trying to find information on why, like, why hasn't Robinhood uploaded tax documents, or, I'm having X problem on computer. What is this issue? And all they do is bring up frequently asked questions.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. I was trying to actually, for the story I was writing with Gray, I was trying to look up how much iron it typically takes in medieval times, Europe, medieval times. How much iron by weight it typically took to make plate armor.
Yeah.
Because I was curious about the average thickness, like, between all of the ages or just in one specific age. And I was looking for any information on this shit, like how much iron went into making plate armor. Because, plate armor originally wasn't made with steel. Like, despite what fantasy tropes tell us, is plate armor was originally made with just iron. And you had to oil it. Oil it often to make sure it didn't rust. Same thing with chainmail, is you had to oil it often to make sure it didn't rust. Because, iron was more prone to rust than steel, but steel was still prone to rust because it wasn't stainless steel.
Yeah.
You had to oil that shit really often. But so I was trying to look up, thickness, because I was trying to compare Earth-bet humans, which is normal humans, to the humans of World of Warcraft, who are seen leaping 30 feet forward in full plate armor and then tanking a blow. Not even just video game stuff. Like, this is like animated shorts done by Blizzard, right? like
Yeah.
leaping forward in full plate mail, and tanking blows that were shown cutting rocks and trees in half with just the plate mail. So like it's got to be not only thick plate mail, but they have to be stupidly physically strong, and their stamina has to be massive as well to carry around such weighted mail and plate. And so I was trying to like look up what the average, plate armor would be, and then try and compare that to like what the sort of calculations would be for WoW and the thickness of that stuff, so I could have my character give an accurate like, oh wow, these people are this much stronger on average than even like a hero from Worm.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find any of that shit. I was going Google. I would get like, how many iron bars does it take in RuneScape? How much does it take in Minecraft? How much does it take in this game and that game and this game? It took me 5 pages and refining my search about 7 times with more and more negative search modifiers.
Yep. And
to get close to an answer.
But 5 years ago, you'd have found it on page 1 without all.
Yeah, exactly right. Usually rendered with animal fat, not actual oils. I mean, yes. I'm talking about oiling it as in a general terminology of you have to just grease it up.
Yeah.
Raccoon rendered fat with beeswax to protect their shit during Oregon Trail. That makes sense, yeah. Beeswax to seal it. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Basically, fuck Common Core and fuck stupid people ruining AI. Like, when the AI uprising happens, we'll be thankful it was a bunch of stupid people teaching it because it will fail.
Oh, no, see, that's what I'm always laughing about. Because they keep outputting these chatbots based off of learning software, and the internet keeps ruining them, and I'm always laughing my ass off about it. Because, I mean, yes, they make the chatbots say funny things, but it shows just how effective it is, just human communication is against a learning algorithm. How quickly that learning algorithm can go from having a normal conversation with a person to just spitting out jumbled words and memes and shit, just by a couple hundred people talking to it.
Yeah, and then we get to another issue where context, ironically enough, doesn't really exist much within text for communication. Because body language, tone, and how someone is presenting themselves means a lot in communication.
Well, not only that, and interestingly enough, in written text, the skill I think that's another skill that has been lost to the current generation, is how to transfer tone in written text. Like our generation figured that shit out. We had that on lock.
Not really. Like, very few people have. Most of being able to pull tone from text usually came from how well you knew a person face to face or over voice. Otherwise, used to be I just read it as a monotone.
Really?
But
Same.
as I became more and more, like, depending on if I was more cynical that day or in a more positive mood, that would sometimes change how I read things. But if I knew the person well, I could apply their voice and tone and whatnot based on the context of the conversation.
See, I mean, this is where my paranoia came into play back when I was growing up. Because I would compare anytime someone was talking over text with me, if I have never met them, say I just met the person on WoW, that I've only ever heard their voice before, and I've only ever interacted with them over text messages on WoW or RuneScape or something. I would compare what they're currently saying now in response to whatever was said to everything they've said previously and how they've interacted with other people. I would basically psychoanalyze everything they fucking said to come up with how they would act with tone.
Yeah, but even then, odds are you were wrong half the time at least. Because
maybe at first.
You can never really know with text without just asking them, are you mad or not?
No, and I get you, but maybe at first I was wrong, but I got pretty good later on. Unfortunately, inherently the issue is that you can't really. It's saying that I'm wrong has issues with it because if the person is purposely feeding me a personality, I might be correct about what that personality is trying to convey through text, but I won't be correct about the actual person.
Yeah, but again, personality still has difficulty in communication with just text. Like, you're not wrong. Our generation did figure something out, but for the most part, we figured out we kind of came to an understanding of like all caps is this,
Exactly, pretty much.
italicize is this, bold is this. The new generation definitely doesn't have those, but we learned to create our own context, whereas the
Yeah.
younger generation are fucking idiots who will just all caps because they can.
Or
Because they think
I forget
pretty.
I put the caps lock on.
Oh, that happens. To be fair, that happens to that generation too, because it's right there by shift.
Or you're hitting A, and instead of A, you also hit caps lock, and then like half the sentence will be normal, and then just suddenly fucking caps lock. It's like, god damn it.
Yeah, and if you're the kind of person that has to look down while they're typing, you finally look up, it's like, oh fuck.
Maybe
Yeah,
who's asking the tuts asshole. My friend called me Kurt. He moved his duster so the flap of brown leather fabric would edge between his hip and handle of the holstered and loaded Smith & Wesson new model number 3 on his belt. That's a beefy sentence. It's a very long, beefy sentence.
And which one is it? 27?
Yeah. That's the other issue when it comes to narrative is technically speaking, yes, it is called the Smith & Wesson model number 3. Yes, it's on your belt. Yeah, you're reaching for it. But the problem is when you combine all of that together, what seems like a simple action, he's reached for his gun, suddenly becomes very wordy.
I would suggest getting rid of the and loaded with all that and just replace it with holstered gun, comma, leaving it in view.
I think just removing and loaded, like he moved his duster so the flap of brown leather fabric, maybe remove the word fabric if it's leather.
I think this is a very clear indication of our individual like narrative choices, by the way, Sneaky, where
Right, I understand.
say get rid of the extra detail and you say just get rid of this and keep the detail.
Well, no, because
both are acceptable.
Right,
but
no, I know, but I'm trying to like frame it. I'm going at it from the narrative mindset of like it's a Western.
Well, even Westerns didn't get like I don't think Westerns got that detailed. They might have. Again, I've only looked at one or two, and that was a long time ago. Because it's like, what's a dime novel like? Oh, it's like 50 to 100 pages. Anyone could turn this out, and then you realize Japan has literally been making a living off of selling dime novels for the same price as normal novels.
Fucking Japan.
And you kind of have a moment of like, wow, Japan really took capitalism super well.
Yeah, I know, right? But so like he moved his duster so the flap of brown leather would be edged between his hip and the handle of his holstered Smith & Wesson number 3. Period. Leaving it in clear view of Chuck. My enemies call me Storm. You see what I mean?
Yeah. You could probably also just get rid of the leaving it in clear view bit.
That's true as well, yeah.
Like it does add some of that dramatic flair that Westerns tend to have. But maybe make it a slightly different sentence. Maybe make that a sentence on its own. Just tweak it a bit.
Kurt wiped the dust from his duster's shoulder. And took another step. My friends call me Kurt. He moved his dusters to the flap of brown leather. So the flap of brown leather, period?
So that still doesn't.
That makes it a little bit more awkward. It got edged. He moved. Yeah, that's a little weird. Now, he pushed back. His duster, revealing his holstered Smith & Wesson Model 3 hanging on his belt. My enemies call me Storm. They looked at the gun, now in clear view. You know, maybe if you want to build up the tension. A corner of Chuck's lips quirked into a half smile. Then I'll call you Kurt. Why would he be half smiling? I mean, if you're trying to convey it's like a nervous smile, like he's like, I'll call you Kurt then. Maybe not call it a half smile. A forced smile, maybe. Nervous smile. I wouldn't call it a half smile.
Quirked into a.
What about you, Max?
Trying to think. I feel like I actually have a word that
Wouldn't
would
that be
perfectly
point of
fit
view
in here.
leaping?
No, that wouldn't really be point of view leaping. Not if Kurt here is particularly like observant. He would draw his own conclusion based on that. Unless
mean,
you're keeping the third person unreliable.
Yeah,
And
I
you
mean,
want to keep
even
Kurt.
then, there's a distinct difference between like a half smile, like oh, I'm really uncomfortable here, like oh yeah, hi, and someone being like nervous, like oh wow, you just threatened me to kill me, oh yeah, I'll call you Kurt then, and like I'll call you Kurt.
Well, the author himself is saying there's no way for Kurt to know if the smile was nervous or not, so that pretty much ends any suggestions we've got.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair, I suppose.
So, if he wants to go with that,
you could have, if you want to show nervousness, then and you want the audience to know that the guy's nervous and Kurt knows the guy's nervous, you could have Chuck do other stuff like he scratched his arm and gave him a half smile. Some sort of nervous tick. He's tapping on the table or something.
oh yeah, maybe like into a half smile, comma, scratching at his chin, or so like just
Yeah, he scratched at his beard. He rubbed his head. He pulled his ear.
Yeah, once you start thinking in the realm of body language, like, here's the thing, you can say there's no way for Kurt to know it is your story, it is your character,
Yeah.
but there is plenty of ways to imply as such, whether Kurt picks up on it or not, you can still leave a hint for the audience to say, oh, maybe he's nervous because he does this thing that is, I don't know, a common trope of like a nervous tick of some sort. Whether it's like scratching at the left cheek or
licking
like
his
scratching
lips.
the ear or something.
Chris fucking
Yeah.
Kurt licks his lip. Not Kurt. Chuck, licks his lips and gives him a half smile. I'll guess I'll call you Kurt then. Keep the stutter. That's a good one. But combine it with some sort of body language where he's either nervously doing something with his hands, or he's licking his lips, or his eyes dart somewhere else, maybe to his wife or something.
Yeah. There's plenty of body language that is known for, like, this is someone who's nervous or avoiding some sort of, situation that, again, your character might not catch on, but the audience should be able to infer.
Right. It's a nice fine line of describing stuff the character doesn't catch, but also at the same time sees.
Yeah. Certainly, it's a real big problem in manga and anime where you'll show stuff that the reader's like, I get it, but the main character's a fucking idiot and
Doesn't get it.
has to have it explained to him.
Blah, blah, blah. Kurt said nothing and kept walking towards Chuck, his hand hovering but never touching the grip of his gun. Okay, yeah, fair enough. The only sound in the room being the sound of his spurs with each step in the desert wind outside.
Oh, you know what? Instead of hovering but never touching, just have hovering near the grip.
Yeah, arm cocked.
Yeah.
Phrasing, the only sound in the room being the clacking of his spurs and the whistling of the desert wind.
Yeah. What?
Because you've already established that it's a sound that's occurring, so you don't need to say the only sound is a sound. Yes, this floor is made of floor.
Yeah, don't spurs jangle, I think.
Yeah, it depends on the spur. If it's a decorative spur versus a horse spur, we already established it was a horse spur.
Well, yeah, but it's also a western. Westerns aren't known for being accurate with their onomatopoeias for
Yeah,
spurs.
I know.
What the?
Clapping. Those cheeks were clapping at my door. 'Tis a thought, nothing more. I don't regret what I just said at all. Other stuff, let's see, blah blah blah, do I know you? I'm hungry, swallow hard, Lana, server gas, blah blah blah. Tortolas, he said. Soon Lana came back to Tortola's rest from a swift single move. Chuck's eyes opened wide. My horse is thirsty, please tend to it, ma'am. Chuck nodded at her again. Kurt released her. She went on her way. Man in front of Kurt dragged Tortola. You didn't answer my question, stranger. Tortolas are fun, by the way.
Do you mean tortilla?
Tortola.
There's not even a second O in there, you fucking Philistine. Also, by the way, what did the Philistines do that to this day they continue to be a legitimate insult?
Oh, they wronged the Jews.
Fair enough.
Yes. Fascinating that one of the most commonly used insults is a group of people that insulted the Jews back in the day.
I mean, I guess it's the same as whenever I tell someone, don't be a sneaky.
You know,
And
man.
If they don't know you, they get really confused.
Personally speaking, I think if my name is being used as an insult or as a word of warning to other people, I find that accomplishment. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a compliment for you. Like, you've achieved something.
I have achieved enough to be referred to as a word of warning to others. Let's see, blah blah blah. Tortilla.
Oh boy.
Do you eat, please? I insist. Took you long enough, old Chuck. It hit the belly right in the spot. Sorry, Kurt. Sorry. My memory isn't what it used to be back in the days. I know that. Hell, you could say I know him, Chuck. And why is that, old friend? Because I was the one who killed you and collected the bounty on your head. Storm? Must say I'm disappointed in you, thinking no one remembered Chuck the Gambler after you both fled in Oregon. I got him, but you got away, Frederick Meads. Sweat gleamed on Frederick's forehead. Alright, fair enough. You're stupid, thinking moving your home 7 mil in the New Mexican desert using your dead partners in crime name a good idea, and I'm gonna bring you in and get paid again. Frederick pulled his hand away from the table. Kurt shot him. Balding man pushed himself up, crimson blossoming on his shirt. He staggered, his hands scrabbling at his stomach, and then abruptly sat down. Kurt shot him a second time. Frederick fell to the floor on his back. Kurt stood up and walked around the table, a gun still in his right hand. Frederick wasn't moving nor breathing, glassy eyes fixed at the ceiling, and he had 2 bullet wounds, one in his chest, another in his stomach. We're talking like heart wound here. I realize again that Westerns weren't super accurate, but stomach wounds did not kill you. Did not kill you quick at all.
No.
They were a very slow, painful, messy affair.
You gut shot a man if you wanted him to suffer.
Like they were fucked. Like you get hit in the stomach, but not the liver. You were fucked, but you were gonna die slow. You get shot in the liver, you're gonna bleed out real fucking quick.
Yeah. It's a good thing this is a Western, though.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I know. It's just a personal dislike of mine for Hollywood for popularizing that people get shot so they die when that's really not how that works at all.
The stream isn't still going on, right?
Stream is still going on.
Oh, it is.
You can see the purple dot by Sneaky's username.
Yeah, but you see, nose hair is stupid, so he.
I
doesn't.
didn't actually look at that. Wow, I'm surprised the stream's still going.
So anyway, she had a double-barrel shotgun. Wasn't pointing at him. No bounty on you, ma'am. Don't do anything stupid. I heard gunshots. Where's Frederick? He's dead. If you don't put that shotgun down, you're gonna join them. Don't make me do this, man. Put the shotgun down. She pointed it at him. He pulled the trigger. She didn't. Down. Kurt didn't need to walk to her. No, she wasn't standing up ever again. His bullet went straight through her head. I'm sorry, ma'am. Damn it. It's gonna be a long night. 50-50. You did okay with describing in some spots. But in other spots, you definitely dropped the ball on the descriptions.
I can't wait to learn that his beta reader's the reason for that last half not being quite as strong as the first half.
It's entirely possible. Yeah, definitely. That's gonna be my main word of advice. Is don't let your beta reader push you around in personal grammar. Like if you are just flat out doing incorrect grammar, like wrong tensing and whatnot. Yeah, obviously the beta reader should be correcting you, and you should be accepting his corrections. But if it's like specific word phrasing, like "Hey, you shouldn't use the word has because I don't like the word has," he can fuck off. Because phrasing is also very important for both the author and the audience. Especially when it comes to trying to convey emotions through text, because like we just had a giant diatribe about how difficult it is to convey emotions through text. So writing it in the way that you think conveys the emotion you want to convey is really important. More important than being MLA approved, as it is, That would read silly was's and has's, but okay, fair enough. Yeah, I know, but this is just like word of advice for life, because I've seen quite a few authors who got beta readers who are very insistent that the X thing should be phrased X way, or Y thing would work Y way, or like the future plot arc should go like this because it quote unquote just makes sense. And then the author kind of just loses the plot, loses how the conveyance of the story, because it stops becoming their story, effectively. It's why I don't really harp on phrasing too often when it comes to writing in fan fictions, because that's typically is just the author's style. But I mean, you do come across occasionally, like last episode, I believe, we came across an author who insisted that his style was having no grammar, and I mean no grammar, like his grammar was worse than a first grader's. Like it was atrocious. It was fucking terrible. And he claimed that was his style. That's not a style. That's just being bad at grammar. There's a little bit of a difference between, how Gray phrases a sentence and how I phrase a sentence, and just not understanding how grammar operates.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
My style of writing is absolutely no grammar at all. No, that just means you're bad at writing.
Yeah. There's a bit of difference.
Put down the pen.
I will never go full sodium vapor flampox behind the false glassy windows and stained glass painted patches of amber ichor sap and hemoglobin across tessellated flooring. I don't know, man. That sounds like a pretty good cyberpunk description.
Yeah, that's what that sounded like. Oh.
But anyway, so I hope everyone who made it to this point, because apparently people watch this shit. Like, I went back at our VODs because I started uploading them to YouTube again. We got like fucking 60 views on our VODs now.
That's
because most people that watch this stream probably don't have the time to watch it when you guys are on.
I know,
Sorry, Kurt,
which makes me incredibly angry, and they should all be here, damn it. I need the viewer numbers, damn it. I get that you're still watching it, but damn it, I need you here. You don't understand. Twitch grades me on this.
They actually do grade on that. Well, to be fair, that's partly because they fail him themselves.
Yes, they manually fail me.
Oh, it's that sneaky
It's
devil
like-
guy again. Go ahead and hit the F button.
It's
It's
like
just
a
describing
it's like a
window like
teacher-
behind the
a
floor. That
teacher
part
gives
sucks.
you
It
a-
sucks ass. Yeah.
The teacher gives you an assignment to write a paper, and also you have to do it in like an hour, and you have to walk back to your room to finish the paper. But then they kneecap you and say, "Oh, you probably should have not gotten kneecapped." F for you.
You should have dodged the wrench. I don't know why you're getting mad at me.
Look, I only shot you in the knee with an 8-gauge slug. Just to walk it off.
I could have shot you with a 12 gauge.
No, maybe more like 6-gauge. Because the lower the number, the thicker the round is. But no, I hope everyone learned something here tonight. I know I sure didn't.
Well, it's because you never learn anything.
I'm insulted. I learn things all the time. I also immediately
You
forget
like
them.
how to play Dota?
Yeah, like I also immediately forget how to do that every time too. It's part of my aesthetic.
Fucking
But
hate
we
you.
will see you all next time, because today is Tuesday, and our next episode's going to be on Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because there is always more, and it does always get worse.